Welcome to the Super Breakdown Podcast, where cosmic tales unfold. Join Power Maximus, Lord Triage, and the Darth Legacy Jason M40 on a journey through heroic realms where legends are born and destinies entwine. Delve into the cosmic currents, unraveling the mysteries of superheroes, villains, and champions. Embrace the cosmic energy that binds us all, and let your journey begin. This is the Super Breakdown Podcast. Enter the cosmic saga.
What is up? What is up? What is up? What is up? Welcome back for another edition of the Super Breakdown. I am Power Maximus. We are here with Jason M40 and everyone's favorite demigod, Lord Triage, will be popping in a few moments. He'll be with us shortly, right?
Hello. I hope everyone's doing well.
we had a pretty fun episode. For me, it's fun because it's a character that I thoroughly enjoy, that so many people thoroughly enjoy. That has been a staple within pop culture for decades.
Quite a long time.
A major long time. Like it's let's see, I believe the first film came out in what, the 50s?
Oh my god, I was gonna say I think it's
in like
40s.
No, not in 1954, I think.
Wow.
I think that I'm pretty sure that was the first film. So, I mean, again, that's way before my time. Way before my time.
Yeah, I mean, 40s, 50s, 60s, that's like a whole different generation.
I'm just thinking, like, damn, is it really? Ain't no way. It's really?
So
1956. Yep, I just had to look it up. But here's the thing. Here's the interesting part, right? And hold on, let me double check, because remember, there was multiple films. So let me just double check. And
now, of course, the majority of the people are wondering, what could they possibly be talking about?
Well, for those of you who don't know, this character has literally molded the way film is done, has molded the way we see special effects to this day. Right?
I would definitely wholeheartedly agree, and I would even say that these films, I think, basically plotted down like the westernized monster movies. Like,
yes,
westernized monster movies only exist the way they do because of this character.
Let's see, like characters like I think like Creature from the Black Lagoon. I'm pretty sure that's in a Western monster movie. Let's see, and now we're talking like man in a suit running around scaring people, like, you know, stuff like Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yes.
Like, characters like that, this character completely revolutionized. If it wasn't for this, then nothing would be, you know. And most importantly, for my anime fans out there, you know, when we're talking Gundams, when we're talking what's his name? When we're talking Gundams, if we're talking Ultron, we're talking, you know, mech suit anime, we're talking monster anime, Zoids. Oh my god. If we're talking about Zords, if we're talking about Voltron, hell, even Power Rangers. This character had a very big impact on Power Rangers. Very big impact on Power Rangers.
So, if anybody has not been able to guess so far,
we are talking about none other than dun, 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 dun.
Run!
Gojira! We are talking about the one, the only Gojira, or English translation, Godzilla. The man, the myth, the legend, the unstoppable force. There is shit. I'm trying to think how many films. There's
Oh my gosh. There's probably I'm just gonna take a wild guess and say 20 at least.
no, there's so Japanese wise, it not again, only specifically speaking Japanese films.
Yes, yeah.
So
I think that there's
talking
at
about
least
Toho.
12.
No, we're talking about Toho. Just the Toho films, the ones who started it all. 33 Japanese films were produced by Toho. 5 films were created for American films. And then the countless video games, novels, comic books, television shows, the list goes on.
Yeah, that's astonishing.
Like, absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Godzilla has literally completely revolutionized so many fields within pop culture. Like I said, like I said it already, anime big time. Even when we're talking about Super Sentai, well, which was the original Japanese version of Power Rangers. When I talk about that, I'm talking about the creature suits. I'm talking about what they call suitmation. Godzilla revolutionized suitmation. Because if anyone who watches old Power Rangers or Sentai, the Zords are it's a man or woman in a suit.
I think that the original Godzilla movies, like the old school ones, that was really the first time that we saw like somebody filming a movie, but having the aspect ratios of like the size differences and everything like that, like with tricks of the camera. I think that's really some of the first times we start seeing that, and like an actual guy in a suit not being able to tell. Well, you can fully tell when you're watching, obviously, like in today's world, because we can tell. But back then, people saw that, and that was amazing.
Yeah. So I don't know. For me, I tried to look more. So like the term suitmation, it really kind of so suitmation is more. I'm trying to remember what the name they call it. There's a specific name for it. It's Tokatsu. Tokatsu, yeah.
I don't know.
Takusatsu, whatever. Pardon me. Tokatsu.
There we go.
Yes. So Tokatsu techniques that are in order to portray Dai Kaiju, which is Japanese for a giant monster. But yeah, no, Godzilla.
Yes.
Godzilla has completely revolutionized everything and anything that we know about monster films.
There literally was no monster attacking the city like as tall as buildings. Like that was not even thought of before Godzilla.
Let me see, because then I mean we have other old films as well. And my thing is I just want to make sure that I got the time frame on these films correctly. So like damn, what's that film with like the giant ants or whatever?
Yeah, there are a few old school films that like arachnophobia. That's later though. But like,
Oh yeah, yeah. There is arachnophobia. There's that
but just
too.
talking about like enlarged monsters.
Yeah, arachnophobia came out in 90.
Yeah, much later.
Hmm.
However, there's also I remember films like Terror from Outer Space. Um, really old school like movies that
Yeah, yeah, that was like what? But even then, that Terror from Outer Space, that was like what, 58? So
yeah.
again, that was short. That was shortly after Godzilla. Um, let's see. I personally, me, I see. That's my thing. I was never really into giant monster movies. That was never really my thing.
Yeah, but I don't think that there was really like any movies like Godzilla that you could compare to before that.
Hmm. I mean, the only other thing that I could say, um, I'm pretty sure that Kong was first. So that's another thing I wanted to say earlier. So Kong actually predates Godzilla.
That makes sense. See, that makes sense because
Yeah.
Kong is an American invention.
Yeah.
Godzilla is a Japanese invention.
And that's why there was that whole kind of go between battle between the two, because essentially it ended up becoming Japan versus America. We all know how that turned out. But yeah,
Well,
because go ahead.
I'm about to say, I was going to ask, was this like a Freddy Jason scenario?
Yes. So to my understanding, yes, it was when they first did, King Kong versus Godzilla. So first off, King Kong came out in 1933, in the 30s, in the
Very early. Very early.
30s. So that's kind of really the first time we kind of see a man in a suit, breaking buildings and stuff like that, little toys and stuff like that. Let me see when did the first King Kong versus Godzilla. I'm trying to think. I know it was like I think it was like it was in the 60s. I'm pretty sure it was Universal. Yeah, yeah. King Kong versus Godzilla was released in theaters in 1962.
The original one.
In Japan. So King Kong versus Godzilla was released theatrically in Japan in 1962. And apparently it did what, 352 million yen. Don't ask me for
That's
I don't ask
yeah.
me for the conversions. I don't know the conversions. I'm not
Well,
doing the
that
conversions.
we'll just say that it did very well.
Yeah, you did very well, because when you do the conversions, then you have to take account for then you got to account for inflation.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that math. It's late at
we're
night.
not we're not here for that.
Yeah. um. So yeah, it was kind of it was supposed to be like that Freddy versus Jason. Which one is better? Which big monster movie? Which giant monster is better? Is it the Americans' King Kong, or is it Japan's Godzilla? Um. So
It's really interesting like what Japanese person just thought up one day, oh, if a giant monster walked out of the bay and started attacking our city, that would be a cool story.
So this is kind of to my understanding, this is kind of how it all, like, the idea of Godzilla came together. So originally, in most iterations of the creature, Godzilla is a colossal prehistoric reptilian or dinosaurian monster that is also like amphibious or resides partially in the ocean. but he's awakened and empowered after many years by exposure to like nuclear radiation and nuclear testing. With the nuclear bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki and the Lucky Dragon 5 incident still fresh like in Japan's consciousness, Godzilla pretty much was conceived as a metaphor for nuclear weapons. Others have suggested that Godzilla is a metaphor for the United States, a giant beast awoken from its slumber that then takes terrible vengeance on Japan. I
mean, in all fairness, the Pearl Harbor had never been attacked.
Yeah. But I kind of feel like the second, I kind of feel like that's kind of like that was American. That was Americans like, Godzilla's supposed to be us. We up there tearing shit up. Yeah. That was Americans being narcissistic. That's what it sounds like.
We see Captain America, they see Homelander.
That's true.
Very true. But now as the film series expanded, some storylines took on less serious undertones, portraying Godzilla as an anti-hero or lesser threat who defends humanity. Later films address desperate themes and commentary that including Japan's apathy, neglect, or ignorance of its imperial past, natural disasters, and the human condition. But there's like, to my understanding, it all kind of it all really just stems from like the whole nuclear race.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense, especially during that time with the nuclear age, and just in general, the Japanese country. They have a lot of tsunamis and a lot of earthquakes just because of where they're located on the earth. And it's interesting because in the Japanese culture, they think of Godzilla. Oh, they came up with a reason for tsunamis or earthquakes, and like people doing that is very common. Like,
I was just gonna say
cultures.
that. Yeah, culturally, that's a thing when especially back then when there was no not back when Godzilla was made, but way back then when cultures were first springing and humanity was first coming together and creating communities. There was no science or telling you what caused the waves to come in and recede. So they created, deities or creatures that controlled these things to explain them.
Yes, exactly.
And so I feel like that was, I see what you're saying. Like Godzilla was also another representation of that, of, something incredibly tragic happened to their nation. And this was their way of like, hey, listen, we fucked around with nukes and, we paid the price. And now this is our way of saying, hey, listen, let's stop playing with nukes. We played with fire. We got burned. You shouldn't play with fire, because this is what can come from it. Because at that time, there were a lot of testings. They did see that nuclear radiation could mutate. It could change your DNA and your physical appearance, from long exposures to it. So, and then, with Godzilla, in later years, more recently, we find that he's a creature that, they say that he feeds off of radiation. That's what makes him stronger. He's like a giant, like, I feel like him and Hulk would be
walking thermal nuclear reactor.
Yeah, like Hulk would be a fucking smorgasbord for him in a way. But clearly two different types of radiation. One's gamma, one's nuclear. But now I want to ask you guys, what was like your first like interaction with Godzilla, and like how did you first learn about Godzilla? What was your first Godzilla movie?
Oh, it was the one from the early 2000s with Matthew Broderick.
Godzilla. Yep. That
Now,
honestly, I thought that I didn't think that was too bad. It was a good movie.
Yes, I will agree. For the first actual like real Godzilla movie
For America.
that we were exposed to, it was not bad for the first one.
Yeah.
I think there was a lot of mishaps between stuff that was done and stuff that should have been done better. Like we talked about the whole thing like with the Transformers. Now, if you're a Transformers fan, you watch the movies, you can admit there's things they did right, there's things they did wrong. Like the government's going to take an alien invasion a little bit more serious than Sector 7. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
So it's like my whole thing with that is like the military would have responded to that in a way more aggressive way, in my opinion. And then it's and also I don't know. Say what you want about Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I didn't like Matt. I didn't like him as that character.
For Ferris?
Yeah. Not like I'm saying like him playing Dr. Totopoulos, like the whole thing with him being like I didn't like him being that guy. Like I didn't think I don't know. He just didn't do that lead role well to me in that movie.
Yeah, no, I fully agree with you, Triage. Like he's not the type of actor like that you picture in like a serious.
Well, I think I sorry to cut you off, but
no, you're good.
Yeah. I personally I feel like with what was going on with that, specifically that part of the film, was the kind of thing that for that time, for the 2000s, that was the lead character that everyone loved. They love that, like innocent, naive, young doctor. He has a lot of ambition, or on the inverse of that, he's like, no, I'm good here, probing mud for my worms and stuff like that, scientists and stuff like that then gets thrown into some shit that's way bigger than him. And now he has to step up to a whole nother level, and unwillingly is now a part of this giant government operation, and everyone's relying on this nerdy guy who, because that was a big thing. Like if you're a nerd, fuck out of here. Nobody cares. You're a nerd. But that was the thing. Like, oh, now we have to rely on the nerd to save the world, kind of thing. So
I get it from that aspect, because it's sort of like the way they went to like Mr. Fantastic with the whole Silver Surfer thing. So I get it. But I don't know. It's just like I feel like with everything that's happened, the way the city was destroyed, stuff that was going on, like shit, they were ready to nuke New York because the Avengers couldn't hold it.
True.
So like, and my whole thing is like, and this is the wild part, because if the creature did feed off radiation, come to find out, if they did nuke it, wouldn't that just make it stronger?
That is a complication.
So it's like, in hindsight, like, what would you really do? And the one thing I will say that this movie did do that was actually great and isn't talked about enough is it gave us that great Saturday morning cartoon spinoff. If you haven't watched it, you should go back and watch it, because that shit was great.
That show was great. I love that show. And the intro was fire. Honestly, back in the day, intros were way better, because another show that like rocked right alongside it, I think it came on like either before or after Godzilla, MIB, Men in Black.
Here we go.
Okay, I didn't say the show was good. I said the intro was fire. I'm talking about intros from back in the day. Intros for shows back in the day were way better than the intros now. But I know I definitely agree with you on that aspect. But I feel like, jumping back real quick to what you were saying about, hey, if you nuke it, isn't it going to get stronger? But I feel like that was also a nod, or kind of like a, what is it? what's the word I'm looking for? I'm no psychologist here. I'm not good with big words like that. It was supposed to be maybe an idiom, maybe that's the word. It was supposed to be pretty much a representation of America's military mind of just blow it the fuck up. Everything can be solved with a nuke.
Yeah, I get that.
Everything can be solved with enough explosion. There's always a big gun. And not, you know what I'm saying? Get a bigger gun. If your gun don't work, just get a bigger gun. It'll work eventually. Shoot it with enough bullets, it's gonna drop. And that was, but that was honestly really was the ideology of honestly of America at that time. America was very heavy on gung ho, shoot it, kill it, blow it up. America, fuck yeah. That was always that was it. You know what I mean? Which is what I like a lot about what they're doing now with Godzilla in America. Being more cautious with the nukes. And if you have watched all of Legendary's MonsterVerse, you know that is still a part of the story. They tried that. They did try. They actually hit him with a nuke, and it pretty much just put him. They thought it killed him, but in reality, all he did was just go into Hollow Earth. Like, it hit him. It didn't kill him. It didn't hurt him, but it gave him. It pretty much filled his belly, and now he went to go to sleep.
And then later, don't they nuke him again? Like later on to like bring him back to revive him.
Yeah, because he used up a lot of his nuclear radiation in the fight against Ghidorah.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to just talk about Godzilla on this as well. I want to look at the Godzilla universe in a whole. So also like a lot of the other monsters that get introduced to us during the Toho era of Godzilla, which Toho is still going. Actually, hold on. Let me double check what who made the last Godzilla movie, which was Godzilla -1. That was the last Japanese
yes
film,
which was fairly good, by the way.
It was really good. It was really good. I enjoyed the hell out of it.
I feel like
Toho is still holding the reins on Godzilla. Godzilla -1 was just done and distributed by the Toho company. So before I jump in, what is your my bad. Jay, what was what was your first introduction to Godzilla?
I'm pretty sure that I can remember actually watching like Godzilla versus Megalodon. Like the old school original Japanese movie with my dad one day, just sitting on the couch. He had it on, and I remember just sitting down and watching it with him, and I was like mesmerized because that was like the very first time I ever saw a monster walking through a city as tall as the buildings. Like, what are you gonna do about that? You can't do shit.
Yeah. For me, I think so. For me, the first Godzilla movie I ever watched, and I might have to ask my grandfather when he walks back by me. I may have to ask him because I remember I was sitting with him. I was sitting on his lap. We were watching his old movies and stuff like that. When I was young, I had to be about like, it had to be about like 6 or 7. Yeah,
I was young. I think I was like 5.
Yeah, I had to be about 6 or 7. And then I think it was either Godzilla All Monsters Attack or Destroy All Monsters.
I got a good question.
Go ahead.
What is everybody's favorite overall original Godzilla monster?
Oh, I was just about to say that. Give me 1 sec. 1 sec. Hey, Pop, got a question for you. I'm into my show right now. What was the first Godzilla movie that you introduced me to? Was it Destroy All Monsters or was it All Monsters Attack? Or Destroy All Monsters? All right. Yep. So yeah, it was Destroy All Monsters. Thank you, Pop. Yep. That was the first movie he introduced me to, Destroy All Monsters. And ever since then, I've been absolutely hooked. So thank you for asking that question, Jay, because that was actually the next question I'm going to ask. Yeah, go ahead. What is your favorite?
Oh my gosh, my favorite Godzilla monster is Space Godzilla.
Oh, wow. I forget it. I forget about him. That was another really good one as well. It was like a space monster that like it kind of
It
like
was, yeah, it was
it-
essentially a Godzilla, but this Godzilla grew, I guess, with these energized crystals a part of him, and he is able to manipulate like magnetic fields and energy, and
Mhm.
it's just cool. And he looks badass.
Yeah, he does. He looks sick as hell. Um, I'd have to say, hmm.
Plus, he was my favorite character to play in the game.
Oh, yeah. So we're talking about this guy right here. If everyone want to turn their attention to the screen, we're talking about this guy right here.
Crazy looking.
Mm-hmm. So it's interesting. I was the one from space that I was thinking of. I think it was when Toho first came back. It was after Godzilla 2000. Toho first came back with their Godzilla movie. And this is when our first time seeing Godzilla with the purple spikes on his back. I can't remember, but there was a scene where like Godzilla was like losing, and like the thing he opened its mouth all the way and started eating Godzilla, and it started like forming into its own Godzilla, and it started bringing spikes. Damn, I can't remember because again, there's been so many Godzilla movies.
I know what you're talking about, but I could not put a date or a name on it, but I know the reference that you're speaking of.
Yeah, let me see. I'm trying to remember. Because all right, so let's get this right. We've been saying the wrong thing. So there's Godzilla, which is in 1998, which is what we know is the first American Godzilla movie, right? But then there was Godzilla 2000, which came out the year after that, which was Japan's response to Godzilla, to America's Godzilla, talking about like because they were like, bro, that was horrible. That was a horrible Godzilla film. Yes, it was. Yes, it was Godzilla. It was called Godzilla 2000 Millennium, and it was actually done. It was actually done by Toho, TriStar, and Sony. So this was the first Godzilla movie where there were like Japan actually they were like, hey, come here. Let me talk to you real quick. America, let us help you make a Godzilla movie because what you did. I'm not going to say it was horrible, but it was horrible. Okay, that wasn't Godzilla. Let me show you how to make a Godzilla movie. And so they teamed up
America.
with
It sucked.
Yeah. So Toho was like, here, let us help you. So they teamed up with TriStar Pictures and Sony Pictures, which if I remember correctly, pretty much like TriStar is owned by Sony, if I remember correctly. Sony owns a lot of little subsidiary companies like New Line and shit like that. No, that's Fox. No. Is it Sony? Is it Fox? I don't remember
not
anymore.
sure.
I don't remember anymore. But I'd say, but yeah, so that was interesting. That was the monster that I thought you were talking about. And again, I still don't know the name of the monster that I was thinking of. But Space Godzilla is pretty solid, pretty damn solid. What about you?
You know what? I think that you might be thinking of Ghidorah. No?
Nope.
Okay.
We'll get to Ghidorah in a second. I definitely want to talk about Ghidorah because Ghidorah is Godzilla's arch nemesis. arch nemesis. All right, but what about you, Triage? What's your favorite Godzilla monster?
Oh, hands down, Kong.
Kong?
Yeah.
Okay, hands down Kong.
I
All right,
respect that.
absolutely. For me,
Well,
ah,
here's
yeah.
here's an interesting question. So, do we actually consider Kong a
Mhm.
Godzilla monster, or is it one of those things like where they're the same universe? Like, is this like a Batman Superman type thing? Like, how does that work exactly?
No, we'll consider them a part because even though Kong started as an American film, got Toho has incorporated Kong into that Toho universe. Um, because I'm the way I'm putting it, there's the only Godzilla universes are right now are the Toho universe and the Legendary universe. Those are the only two that we got going right now. Um, and so yeah, I would say I would yeah no I think everyone agree that Kong would be considered a Godzilla monster.
I mean, originally he started out, he was not a Godzilla
Yeah,
monster,
before
but as of
it
now,
was it
that's
was a Batman Superman situation in the
yeah.
beginning. But after that, there's a few movies where Godzilla and Kong are teaming up. If I remember correctly, there's a movie where like it was Godzilla and Kong teaming up, and I don't remember the name of the other monster. It started with an R, but he had awoken and he was terrorizing a city. And Godzilla and Kong team up. I think Godzilla went to Kong. I was like, "Hey yo, need your help, fam. Come on,
It wasn't
let's handle it."
Rodan.
No, not Rodan. Not Rodan. It did start with the R though. He looked kind of like a monkey in a way. Um
Oh,
but
okay.
yeah, he looked like a monkey in a way. But he was more humanoid. Um he was definitely more humanoid. But yeah, they teamed up together to fight this creature. So yeah, I would definitely say he's a Godzilla monster. For me, it's a tie. It's a tie between King Ghidorah, um, as well as what is his name? He's like Godzilla's sidekick. Um, Give me a sec. I'm trying to remember his name.
He says,
Um,
"Okay,
You're not
yeah,
talking
yeah.
you're not talking about baby Godzilla, are you?
No, no, no. That's his son. Well, there's two. There's mini Illa and Godzilla Junior. Those are Godzilla's two kids. But what the hell is his name? We see in I think King of the Monsters, the American one. We see him. We see like at least we see his bones in it as they were going through when they first found the city when they were going to pretty much nuke Godzilla to wake him up. Um, so we see that was Anguirus. Yeah,
Oh,
Anguirus. Yep, he was like kind of like an armadillo in a way. He kind of like an
yes.
ankylosaurus. He's
He's
all
got
all
spikes. He's got
fours,
like a
spikes in a
shell.
shell. Yep,
Yeah.
yep. Because I remember like this man Godzilla used to fucking pick him up by his tail and throw him at the whatever monster they was fighting. So the first time we see Anguirus
He
is
can dig like in the ground
yes,
too.
yep. He can dig
Yeah.
into the ground and come up. He
so
can,
we're
I
going."
believe what?
He said, "We're going fastball special with this motherfucker." He said, "You pick him
Yeah,
up and throw him." That's hilarious.
yeah, yep. So yeah, the first time we saw him was in Godzilla Raids Again. Then Destroy All Monsters, versus Gigan versus Megalon, and then versus Mecha Godzilla. So he has a
Gigan was my other favorite monster.
yeah, Gigan was good. Gigan is definitely good. He can burrow. He has coordination abilities. He has a sonic roar. He has a stunning poison. He also has atomic breath, like Godzilla as well. Um, uh, what is it? It's what is it? So he has carapace, which is like his spikes on his shell and shit like that. Carapace,
Oh,
that's how you say
yeah,
that.
carapace.
So,
Yep.
yeah, sorry, carapace. But yeah. But I just find I always found his character so cool. There's no specific reason, but so cool. But King Ghidorah, above all, is my hands down favorite Godzilla. Aside from Godzilla, is my favorite Godzilla monster. Just because
Yeah.
because he's not unlike a lot of the other monsters that Godzilla fights. There's he has a few other space monsters as well, but he handles those. The reason why Ghidorah is such a problem is because all right, so in the original kind of like
Story.
in the original story, Ghidorah is from space, right?
Yeah. Yep.
But there is there's another he's also known as Showa.
He's an
Shawa.
invader. Yeah.
Yeah. There's another one where he's actually from a completely different dimension.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so no matter which way you look at it, like I think he's a savage. Three-headed monster. He's actually bigger than Godzilla, as in size wise.
Yes.
Yeah, he's like twice Godzilla. Then his wingspan, and then being able to control electricity and lightning. Yeah.
Now it's actually interesting because in the original old school films, Ghidorah, King Ghidorah is considered the 1,000-year-old dragon in the Japanese culture. Is like sleeping and then he gets woken up.
Mm-hmm.
But like our latest reference of Ghidorah, which is the one that I'm more familiar with, is that he's an actual like creature that invades from space. He's not of Earth, but he is another alpha monster.
Yes, that's the other term, alpha monster. Yep.
And he's another alpha level monster as strong as Godzilla. And this is a problem because Earth is Godzilla's planet.
Yeah, he's like, this is my territory. Anytime an apex predator comes in, he's like, what's going on? What's up?
And we haven't even touched on Mecha King Ghidorah.
Oh god, yeah, we'll get there. Which I'm surprised they haven't gone there yet in the MonsterVerse yet. They used they were playing around.
Godzilla.
Yeah, they used use it for use his skull, one of his skulls, to create Mecha Godzilla in Godzilla versus Kong.
Yes.
And his brain. And one of his brains as well. But here's a cool thing that I also wanted to mention about Godzilla. Godzilla has different eras as well. They have the Showa era, there's the Heisei era, there's the Millennial series, then there's the TriStar series, the MonsterVerse, and then which started in like 2014, and that's like in America. But then there's also in Japan, what's going on right now is the Reiwa era, which started in 2016, which started with one of my favorite Godzilla movies, which it's weird. It's my favorite Godzilla movie that I haven't watched.
What?
Yeah. Yep. And I'll tell you why. Because now I want to start getting into Godzilla, some awesome ass fucking Godzilla movies, right? And I feel like I also want to bring in that Netflix is a part of this. Netflix did an amazing job being a part of this too. So Shin Godzilla. Shin Godzilla is one of the most powerful iterations of Godzilla. And this is from me actually doing some research a while back on this. I feel like this is one of the one of the most what's the word I'm looking for? Unique versions of Godzilla that I've ever seen. And again, I still haven't been able to sit down and watch the entirety of the movie, but from what I've seen in the research that I've done, ridiculous. So this version of Shin Godzilla is also known as Godzilla Resurgence, right? So Shin
What
Godzilla.
films are these? What? I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
I just want to like find out in my own head, like where are these films? Like,
Toho, same era. They're Japanese.
okay,
They're
gotcha,
Japanese
gotcha,
Godzilla
gotcha.
movies. Yep. So Shin Godzilla came out in 2016, right? And it was done by Toho, and it was the 30. It was like the 31st installment of Godzilla, right? And essentially, this Godzilla, he starts out like he's like an evolutionary thing, right? So pretty much, so the Japanese Coast Guard, right, boards a small boat in Tokyo Bay. All right, its occupant is a scientist. Has it the scientist, he's completely vanished, right? Despite the boat's interior being clean and nearly untouched. With the scientists, like pretty much, so they're going through like what's here. So this Godzilla, he starts super small, and then like pretty much he's pretty much a science experiment gone completely wrong, right? So he starts out as like a fish-like creature, right?
Huh?
And he resembles kind of like a moray eel. You know what those look like?
Yes.
Those are like the bright yellow ones with the really big jaws.
Yep.
Yeah, they're not they don't have bioelectricity, but they eat shit. They eat. And it's like he looks like, but he also looks like a frilled shark. You know, those are the sharks that they've got like the little frills along their gills,
Yeah.
right? And he has like a really spiky dorsal fin, and his arms are like super stubby forelimbs, like underdeveloped. And like his gills are like bleeding and stuff like that. But as the film progresses, let me see if I can pull up an image in order for you guys to kind of get, because the way I'm saying it, it sounds wild. And it most certainly does. It is wild. He looks wild. Oh wow, yeah, that's kind of perfect. No, not this one, not this one. This is, oh no, yeah, that one. Yeah, so the thing that really gets me as I'm pulling this up, the thing that really gets me about this film is that they weren't done with Shin Godzilla. They weren't done. The Shin Godzilla, there was supposed to be another film to go along with this. Well, not even that. No, there was more written that they showed that they just didn't go with. All right,
Okay.
I'm gonna have to share my screen on this one. Screen share. This. Boom. All right. So this is what he looked like.
Oh.
Yeah, looks, besides the spikes on his front on his back, looks nothing like Godzilla, right? Looks nothing like Godzilla. This is what he starts out as. But as he goes along and he grows and, you know, keeps eating stuff and destroying stuff, he becomes more and more, you know, evolved. He starts to grow, his arms start to grow more. Let's see, yeah, his arms start to grow more. He starts to become more upright standing, bipedal, and he starts to look more, his tail grows longer, and he starts to look more like the Godzilla that we all know and love. But the whole point of this character, Shin Godzilla, was he's supposed to be continuously and forever evolving and growing. Right.
Okay.
And that's the thing that gets me. And so as the movie goes on, he can't be stopped because he's adapting and growing.
Yes, exactly. He's evolving.
Exactly. And so in the final scene of this, we see they eventually figure out, all right, in order to stop him, we have to stop his cellular growth. And we have to pretty much completely stunt him in his growth, which is going to stop him and kill him. Right? So they create this serum, whatever, that they end up injecting into him, and they stop him. But what ends up happening is, as the film ends, the way it ends is like it kind of like the camera pans around his stoned and frozen body, and then from his head down to his body, you see his arms, you see his legs, and then it starts going up his tail, right? And then it gets to the tip of his tail, and then this is what you see at the tip of his tail. If you want to take a look at what we have on the screen here.
What the hell is that?
Is that a person? Those are people popping out.
That was the next stage of his evolution.
Oh, that's scary.
Yes. So via my research, and this is coming directly from the director and creator of the Shin Godzilla, this film. The next stage of his evolution was to then spawn and break down into smaller humanoid kaiju.
Oh, fuck that. Nope.
Yes, that was that was his next stage, and they did this, and like they're all frozen and dead at the end to show like, oh, they just made it. They just stopped him in time. If they did not stop him in that moment, then it was going to be over. The world would have ended because he would have became these things. And
they could have built like a giant mech Pacific Rim bot to fight him. Godzilla. Yeah.
We'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get to that point. But yeah, this was that was his next evolution, right? Or they call them forms, right? Somebody they actually released like concept art as well for these things. You guys can see here, I'm pulling it up here, a little more kind of like this. Give me a sec. Let me switch this up real quick. Yes, this right here. Yeah, it was. So he only had 4 forms. This was his 5th form, right? This was the 5th form for Godzilla, turning into small humanoid creatures. Boom, there we go, right there. That's a better look at them.
Okay, gotcha.
So yeah, you were absolutely right with the oh fuck that. Absolutely right with the oh fuck that. Right? But now if we continue, so like that was supposed to be his 5th form. Here, let me just pull up all his forms.
Over 9,000, but that's impossible.
So they said that from there it was 6th form. where was it? What is this?
This is quite an interesting concept because like Godzilla is a creature that we can think and make up things, different scenarios and everything like this that still makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So I have a question for you guys. Are you guys willing to take about 9 minutes out of the show for us to run a video, and I'll throw the credits for this person in their video in the show to truly explain, and so you guys can get the gravity of what was supposed to happen. Actually less than that. It's about like half of that, maybe about 4 minutes.
I'm not against that at all.
No,
All
I'm not against that at all either. That would be cool. You're talking this is a video specifically explaining the Shin.
Yes.
Yep. Okay.
Yep. Here. Let's go start from here. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen watching, we're going to take about 4 minutes out just so you guys can get an understanding of this character, Shin Godzilla. And there's a few other versions of Godzilla that I do also want to talk about. And this is where it comes into me saying that Netflix did actually a really, really good job with these 3 Godzilla films. And I highly recommend you go watch them. The terminology is Planet Godzilla for the next films that I'm going to speak about. So here we go. This is, let me shout them out. This is Mind Q, literally MINDQ on YouTube. Go check them out. If you want to check out this full video, go check them out on YouTube. It's called The 8 Forms of Shin Godzilla Ultimate Evolution. Yeah. Oh, this is what his atomic breath looked like as well. So his atomic breath, it started out, he would breathe it. It would, do the little charge up through the spines, and he opened his mouth, and it would start out as like a little beam, right? And you see how a torch lights? It starts like it has that little flame.
Yes, almost
right?
literally, quite literally, almost like a plasma torch,
Yes, exactly. Yep, it's like a plasma torch, and as you can see like a small flame coming out of his mouth, and then it breaks, and then there's a bigger beam.
Yeah.
It started out as a little beam, and then it would just charge up and just like, I feel like he has the second strongest atomic breath. Shin Godzilla has the second strongest atomic breath.
That's really interesting because because it exits his mouth that way, you can tell it's extremely powerful. Like it's super high energy.
Yep. All right. So I'm gonna play this for you guys and just take a listen. Let me know if you can hear it. Let me know if I got to change anything.
Which was easily twice as long as the entire body. The 5th form seen in the movie. After being forcefully fed with the blood coagulant, Shin Godzilla went into an inanimate stage in which his entire body shuts down. But to fight humans, he must evolve to be like them. And hence Godzilla's 5th form takes on an eerily human shape with Godzilla-like dorsal plates running up their spines. Models for the evolution show that they lack eyes despite the concept art of the design originally possessing them. And a large divide runs down their cranium. Like its predecessor's form, the humanoid forms aren't muscular and appears to be very emaciated with a large hole present in their chest, which makes them look like deadly zombie kaiju races. The proposed 5th form. According to the Art of Shin Godzilla and several other official publications, Shin Godzilla was to acquire the capability of flight, maybe with wings or shooting his atomic breath and propelling himself like a rocket, who knows. He was proposed to undergo self-division without limits to eventually cover the entire planet, and with this divided forms, he may shrink in size and form a legion, becoming immune to the blood coagulant plan, as well as lose sensitivity to pain and emotions. He could very well undergo a self-generation of a completed form from the tiniest fragment of the body if he was defeated. So the evolutionary strategy was to become a swarm species of smaller Godzillas and take over the world. Interestingly, it was revealed in 2012 that a memo named Shin Godzilla was left by Ishiro Honda. He was planning to create a Godzilla to self-divide and coalesce enemies and grow larger, enabling aerification and solidification and the ability to become inanimate. A deleted scene within the film features a slightly different take on Godzilla's continued adaptation and mutation. In the scene, the JSDF investigating areas around the now dormant Godzilla finds a biomass that was blown off from the monster, and this biomass had developed eyes and teeth. However, the creators of the film thought that this idea would be too disturbing to watch. The sixth form. In this other form that never made it to the big screen,
What was that?
I said a little.
Yeah.
A little disturbing.
Yeah.
Godzilla was planned to have overcome requirements of air and water to survive. Since we all know that Godzilla was born of radiation, he will have evolved to an extent that he will achieve self-energy production, and theorized that he will have achieved limitless nuclear fusion and thus overcome energy problems, but there is still the factor of consuming hydrogen for fusion reactions. Other plans for him was that, along with having energy independence, he would transform into a Lovecraftian entity that would eventually lose all these organs and become a fleshy mass with indescribable parts. In the stage, he will eventually invade outer space and other planets and start to spread his form of life to the stars. The seventh form. As he continues to expand and evolve to survive the conditions of outer space, he will become a hive mind and know what everything is happening around him. He would be able to survive any type of harsh environments in all types of planets and space objects. But the strangest evolution of his is that he will be able to synthesize any type of material and elements at will to form out of nowhere. And also that due to this, he will be able to generate and contain a small universe within his body. But even this will have an end. But as his evolution and purpose is to never cease to exist and grow and expand, he will overcome this with stage 8. The eighth form. In his final form, Shin Godzilla is planned and theorized to transcend physical law and reaching the level of God. And with this, he will attain immortality. Not that vampire kind of immortality, but the omnipotent, omniscient, and godlike immortality in that he is omnipresent in his own universe, and everything that evolves in it is a part of him. He would become the Lovecraftian entity called Azathoth, a slumbering idiot god in that everything that exists is because of his dreams. In this final form, he will be the ultimate stage of life itself and create new life if he so pleases. And so with this, we come to the end of the video about the 8 forms of Shin Godzilla. Do leave your thoughts down below and leave a like and hit that notification bell for more videos like these.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That guy's accent was kind of cool.
Yes. So yeah, with that being said, so you see why, yeah.
This is like the next level Godzilla.
Yeah.
He said that he's going to transcend. He might as well, but he's going to become omnipotent. He's going to have a whole cult that worships him. Like, that was so, what?
Because, and this is everything he's going off of the information that was left by Ishiro Honda, which was the one who created Shin Godzilla. Those were his notes. That's what he wanted to do. That's what Honda wanted to do.
That's insane.
Godzilla's going to transcend death, punch out God.
No, he was going to become God.
Like I said, he's going to punch out God.
Create his own universe. And with that being said, when they said he's going to be able to create planets, become his own planet, that leads me to talk about the Netflix movies. They made 3 of them. They were like 3D animated, and when it comes to Netflix and their 3D anime, it's a hit. It's a hit or miss. It's hit or miss. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're horrendous. But with this specifically, it is let me see, what was it? Godzilla Planet Godzilla. I think that that's
Planet Godzilla Planet.
Mm-hmm.
Insanity.
Yeah, so there's 3 films for this kind of series. Godzilla, what is it?
Is Godzilla
Godzilla
minus?
Planet of Monsters.
Okay, I was gonna ask if Godzilla -1 was a part of the series.
No. So a lot of them are kind of separate. These specific 3 films are all animated, a part of its own kind of condensed world.
Gotcha.
So the series is actually called Godzilla Planet of Monsters. Yeah, or also known as, it was based off a short film that Monster Planet of Godzilla. So this follows a group of human refugees who attempted to recolonize Earth 20,000 years after the planet was taken over by Godzilla.
Oh no, it's a lost hope. Why would you even try?
Yeah. Shit, we're going to Mars.
So this all stems from Godzilla's first appearance, his first surgence on to Earth, right? On Earth, he comes life. He wakes up. They cannot stop him. He is literally unstoppable, and it's to the point where like he's literally wiped out majority of Earth. And so humans are like, all right, you know what? You got that. You can have that. You good. You got that. I'm all right. We guys are gonna leave. So this is where in some of the later original movies we see that aliens come to Earth in the original Godzilla movies, right? That's where if I correct me if I'm wrong, somebody in the comics, that's where we get Destroy All Monsters. And it's like Godzilla pretty much running through a crucible of monsters because this alien race comes to Earth and it's like, hey guys, we wanna work with you and we want to help build you guys up. And Earth was like, hey yo, well, we got a Godzilla problem. And so aliens are like, I bet, cool, we'll help you take out Godzilla.
Oh, that's nice.
Right. If you work with us, if you help us and if you work with us. So for Destroy All Monsters, what the aliens do, they go around and start abducting all the other monsters within the Godzilla universe and pretty much, put in their head to all attack Godzilla. So literally Godzilla is going through a crucible of every monster he's ever faced, either going one-on-one with them or going like a 2v1, 3v1, fighting them all. There's even a funny part in the movie where pretty much Japan shits on America and they drop in the Godzilla from Matthew Broderick Godzilla, which they've changed his name to, he's no longer called Godzilla. That one, he's not Godzilla. They made him an actual monster within their universe and they call him Zilla.
That's funny. That is hilarious.
Yeah. He's like they took the god from him. They took the god from him. They're like, you will no longer be dubbed a god. You are no longer dubbed a god. You will, for now on, henceforth, forever be Zilla.
Right? That's funny.
So it's hilarious. It's hilarious. Let me see if I can find. So yeah, he literally looks like Matthew Broderick's Godzilla, right? And they're like, man, listen. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick. When I say they had this man Godzilla absolutely just decimate him. It was absolutely hilarious. Pretty much Godzilla literally just hits him with his tail, grabs him in his mouth, and spins and just straight yeets him. Yeets. He goes flying through the air. Like, damn. It is absolutely hilarious. He literally just yeets his ass. All right, but yeah, that's a similar idea. Aliens come to Earth, will help you take care of Godzilla. Aliens attempt to take care of Godzilla, and pretty much damn near he almost annihilates their race, because that's the reason why they're coming. They're like, hey, listen, our race is going extinct. We would like to, our planet's destroyed. We will come here and live with y'all, right? They're like, you can live here, but we got a Godzilla problem. If you can deal with a Godzilla problem, yeah, by all means, come live here. He whips the aliens' ass too.
That's so crazy.
Another alien race comes to Earth or meets up with the humans, and the other aliens like, hey, all right, well, we'll help y'all handle this situation. No, gets their ass beat too, right? But here's the thing. This second alien race, right, has no plans on helping them at all. They actually want to take over Earth, right? But Godzilla's like, yeah, no. So the first alien race wanted to coexist. The other alien race wanted to take over everything. So now these three races are all stuck on these ships in space because they got nowhere to go now.
Wow.
They're all living coexisting on this one ship, on not one ship. I think there's like 3 or 4 ships. And it starts getting so bad on the ship that they start that, they're been living there for quite a few years now. So, people, they're, doing the nasty, they're repopulating, you know what I mean? And so the movie start out with, they're like, they're like, we want to try to go back to Earth, because what happened was they used their hyperdrive to jump super far away from Earth, right? So if you know science, light years is way different than regular years.
Yeah.
So to them, it's only been 20 years. It's only been 2 decades to them. So they
That's crazy.
hyperspeed back, light years, whatever, back to Earth. Within that time, it's been 20,000 years for Earth.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for them, 2 decades on Earth, what is it, 2 millennia or something like that? More than that?
It would
more
be
than
like 2,000 years later or something like that.
Yeah, but this was 20,000 years later.
Yeah.
Right. So they're like, they don't want to send the young people. So they're like, yeah, let's send the older people to go and repopulate or take a look at Earth. All the old people get on the ship. The ship departs from the planet. Ship goes boom. And you end up finding out later on that it wasn't an accident on the transport ship. It was the people who are in charge of the space station calling the herd.
Wow.
They intentionally put all the old people, like senile old people, on a ship and blew the shit up and killed them, because it was getting to the point there was no room on the space station.
Well, geez, it's a good thing that we can't even inhabit Earth, because we'd just destroy it.
Yeah, that shit was crazy. So whatever, the main characters, they're like, all right, now we really, damn, they realize that now they're actually in a serious predicament, that they really do have to try to repopulate Earth. So they get all the forces together, like, all right, we're gonna go back to Earth. They send a crew down to Earth, and the place is completely different. What you end up finding out is that Godzilla terraformed the planet. So like they just said in Shin Godzilla, everything is a part of Godzilla, from the plants to the animals.
Oh, that's crazy.
Everything, like his presence terraformed everything. Everything, essentially, he's such an apex predator now. He is the apex. So now everything else on the planet had to grow and adapt to survive him.
Yeah. So, like, everything is a part of him now. It's like
not necessarily a part of him, but it resembles him, because it had to literally everything had to adapt and evolve to survive.
Okay. I
So
see what
everything
you're saying.
became like him.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. So they have 3 whole films of this, and the wild shit is, at the end of the first film, they kill him. They find his weakness. They do what they got to do. Everything works, and they actually kill him.
Wow.
And then
you can't kill Godzilla.
You're absolutely right, because that wasn't the Godzilla that they were fighting in the first time. That was its son.
They're fucked.
And so yeah, that was a second Godzilla. And so the first Godzilla wakes up, and he is almost 100 times bigger than he was initially when he first showed, because he was the size of the first one, which is he was massive. He is now 10 times that size, 20 times that size. He's the original one. Yeah, and then they're like, all right, whatever, they gotta. And then this other alien race is like, well, we know of a deity that somebody that could stop him, but we have to call him. And then that's when we get Ghidorah. Yeah, they call it. So it's so it's Godzilla, Planet of Monsters. Then the sequel is Godzilla, City on the Edge of Battle. And then the third one is Godzilla, the Planet Eater.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yes. So let's take a quick break. We've been going for a while. Let's take a quick break, hear from our podcast friends, and then we'll come right back.
Going on, everybody, Lloyd Jones with Midnight Comics here, and we'd like to introduce you guys to our show, The Indie Breakdown, a show where we break down your favorite indie comic book characters' power, stats, and abilities, and get them ready for an eventual indie versus matchup. All Indie Breakdown episodes go live first on Spotify and on Patreon, with them eventually showing up on YouTube. So if you guys want to check out The Indie Breakdown and learn more from your favorite indie comic book creators, now's the time to do so. We hope you guys decide to tune in, and remember, until next time, midnight is coming.
Hi, I go by Lady Mandalore, the creator of Roomful of Blurs. Do you have a whiteboard in your room? Do people get a glazed over look in their eye when you start to explain things to them? Well, come join me every Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we can talk comics and get to know some new creators of color, only on YouTube and Twitch.
What's going on, everybody? It's me, Calvin, from the Icarus Podcast, and I just want to say that we got new episodes coming next Saturday and every Saturday after that. So all I will have to say from here is keep enjoying the show. You can check us out, www.icarusmetrocomics.com. Check us out on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, and more. See y'all next time.
Join the Pulse. We're excited to announce the launch of Heartline Comics' newest line, the Barcode Collection. Our fresh drop just hit the internet and is turning heads. Imagine this: you're rocking our merch, and friends can scan the barcodes to instantly connect with the Heartline Comics website. It's a game changer. Stay ahead of the curve and never miss a beat. Subscribe to our website for exclusive alerts on the latest merch drops and the newest comics hitting the shelves. Be part of the Heartline community and show off your style with pride. Trust us. You don't want to miss this.
All right, and we are back. Definitely. Please check these guys out. They're doing amazing things. Amazing things within the Blurred community. And we got some comments coming in from Facebook. We have Justin Kuntz. Yes, Mega Godzilla City was nutty. Yes. Oh, yes. Thanks for reminding me. Yeah, that was another part that I believe that's the second movie, City on the Edge of Battle, where you find out that in the time that when they were on Earth, that they were experimenting and trying to create a weapon that could, in fact, destroy Godzilla. Right? And it was actually a city. It's like he says, it's called Mecha Godzilla City, and what it was actually a bunch of nanobots that they had used to create a city that was supposed to be the last final refuge against Godzilla.
Okay.
And so they're like they remember that. They're like, all right, let's go here and see if we can get it online to see if it can help us destroy him. So they go there. It goes online. Godzilla shows up. Was trying to attack them and shit like that. But that was the thing. Like, it was nuclear run. So when they turned it on, they're like, all right, we know Godzilla's gonna come here, and that's fine. This is gonna be the final battleground here. The city's gonna take him out. So they get there. They get it online and stuff like that. But it kind of like takes on a life of its own.
Uh-oh.
Yes. And this is where we actually see Mechagodzilla in this show. Is actually the city fused as nanobots. And like, I can't remember how the battle goes, but in the end, Godzilla ends up winning in a spectacular fashion. It was absolutely spectacular. Right? It was beautiful. It just molten lava and metal, like he literally obliterates the entire robot, just melts it straight down. It was absolutely amazing sight to see. Like I said, I really feel like Netflix really snapped on that one. Well, it was Netflix as well as Toho. So Toho Animation and Polygon Pictures, in association with Netflix, created this film. All right.
Okay.
It was computer animated, and bro, it's nuts. So and I'm pretty sure it's still on Netflix because it went so hard. Pretty sure it's still on Netflix. I would go check. I highly recommend everyone go and check it out. Go and check it out. But yeah, that like it's absolutely amazing. But there's it just continues to go on. Like Godzilla has completely. There's many iterations, especially as of late, of people that when they are creating Godzilla, they are literally like making him stronger and stronger and stronger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So, and again, remember, like Shin Godzilla is, like I said, is technically currently right now held as the strongest iteration of Godzilla.
It's really interesting because like Godzilla itself, there's no like actual like canon creation story or like where he comes from, or
it's very loose. You're right. Yep.
it's nothing is concrete or canon. Like his origin story. So it's really interesting on how many different concepts people have been coming up with to like create where this monster could possibly like come from and be developed, and how could he exist, like. And I think at least in my opinion, our most recent the most recent iterations of it, how Godzilla and even Kong and like some of these other monsters, they're considered like, at least in the Monarch universe, they're considered titans, and they've always been there.
Oh, yes, that's very solid. Like they are kind of like the apex predator. Like they it's
like
supposed to be
like they're the natural planet's defense. Like
yes.
The planet has developed these monsters in order to protect itself, and like that's somewhat like believable. You know what I mean? To a point.
No, absolutely. And now, so it's kind of become like you said, there's no like specific canonized like this is his origin. It's very loose, but there are certain things that in order to make for it to be Godzilla, these are the things that they has to have.
Yes,
it has to have the atomic breath. Right,
yes.
It has to have atomic breath. He has to be nuclear radiated. Whether he's created by nuclear radiation, he has to be created by nuclear radiation. What he's created from, or he feeds on it.
Yeah. Yes. Nuclear breath. I think that he has to be as tall as a skyscraper.
Yeah, yeah, he has to be big. And that actually goes into my next thing. So this Godzilla, Planet of Monster Godzillas. So I was saying how badass Shin Godzilla is, right?
Yeah.
If you want to turn your attention to the screen here, this is what you see on the bottom there are Godzillas, right? We got, and these are all the forms of. So the first one there that's on the ground, that's the first form of Shin Godzilla down here, right? On the bottom, that's the first form of Shin Godzilla. The next Godzilla we're seeing, that's the Godzilla that they destroy at the end of the first Planet of Monster films. Then what we see behind that, that's the second stage of Shin Godzilla down to his final stage of Shin Godzilla, his fourth form. Above that is the final form of Godzilla, in which we see at the end of Planet of Monsters.
That's incredible.
Yeah. And again, like I said, that second one is the one that they kill and destroy at the end of the first movie. This is what the original one looked like at the end. He had grown and he originally looked like the 50-meter one. But
yeah,
now
that's crazy.
Now he's over after those 20,000 years, he's now become this 300-meter tall. I don't know the conversion for feet, but 300-meter tall monster.
That would be 900 feet tall, almost 1,000 feet.
Oh, well, shit. Okay. Yes. Yeah. This is what he ends up becoming. So to me, at the end, this Godzilla is, until they make another one, so they decide to make another one, this Godzilla is the strongest iteration version of Godzilla currently, to me. Maybe there's another one, but Shin Godzilla is second. Planet Monster Godzilla is first.
Yeah, I would agree with this picture.
Yeah. So it's crazy the way it ends up, when it comes to that Planet Monster Godzilla. It's crazy. There's like the scale in comparison is like bonkers.
And
absolutely bonkers.
These three movies are all on Netflix.
Yep. I'm pretty sure they're still on Netflix.
Oh, I'm definitely gonna check them out.
Yeah, because because when they came out, they were hot. They were hot. And again, like I said, the last movie we get introduced to King Ghidorah, and the storyline from Ghidorah is that he's extraterrestrial, but he is more so of a interdimensional being.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. So I just feel like it's amazing. But no, there's so many different, again, like I said, there's 33 Japanese made Godzilla films. 33. And there might be more by now. I don't know when that count was last updated. But
it's amazing. It's amazing to me what we have come from. A guy in a suit walking around the model city, destroying it, to computer generated images that just look so real and believable. It's amazing how far Godzilla has come.
Yep. Now, the one thing that I would so I do have some reservations towards what we have right now with the MonsterVerse. I feel like it's gotten too loose when it comes to Godzilla. I feel like the first Godzilla movie was good. I won't say great. It was good as an intro, as a new introduction to him. The second film, I thought. Well, I also think Skull Island was great. I thought Skull Island was a very good film.
Yes, I agree.
But now once you get into the third and fourth film, I felt like they started getting a little too wonky. Mostly, especially with the last film, New Empire. It just, giving Kong a robotic kind of punch arm, and you got, you see fucking Kong jump on Godzilla's back and like he rides him and they run together, and then you see Godzilla in a full on sprint.
Yeah, you know what? I will agree with you on the fact that these most recent films were a little bit, I think fantastical is a good word to describe it.
Yeah.
Not to say that obviously a giant monster is not believable, or already, like, because there's Godzilla, like what you would expect from a Godzilla movie, and then there's fantastical.
Yeah, it pretty much it stretches what's already been stretched.
Yes, exactly. That's a better way to explain it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that it would be very interesting to see, because the kaiju universe has like become so very loose. Especially with these other multiple films like Pacific Rim and the kaiju monsters that they have to fight, and they come to Earth in a rip in dimensions from the bottom of the ocean, and things are believable to a point. But if you know what is to be expected and what you're looking for, I think that they've done a pretty good job with the most recent movies, because that's what we all wanted to see. But I understand exactly what you mean. It's been stretched a little bit.
Yeah, just a little too much for me. A little too much for me. So the other thing that I would like to touch on when it comes to Godzilla is that and that one thing that I like that they've done is that they've given these characters a little bit more backstory, right? So we find out that that Godzilla is there's actually races of these creatures. There's not just one, like in the Toho universe. There's one of each of these characters. But there's actually a race. There's usually a race of these creatures in the Hollow Earth.
Yeah, it explains how a while ago there was a whole race, and Godzilla was not the only one of the species. And same thing with Kong. Same exact thing with Kong. And apparently these I'll call them animals, even though but creatures. Like these animals,
I like creatures.
Yeah, these creatures have been on the Earth like forever, and have spawned and lived and passed time, and they've just always been there.
Yeah, and you actually find out that like he has like Godzilla has like a whole lineage that there has always been kind of like one of him at a time.
Yeah,
because again, he's a force of nature. There can't there's no need for more than one of him.
And you can tell that because like in one of the scenes in the bottom of the ocean, there's a temple that's where he goes to recuperate. It's like a giant temple that humanity built long ago, dedicated to him. And if it's sitting at the bottom of the ocean, that means that temple must have been built when it was dry land. So that's like tens of thousands of years ago, at least, that we know of.
No, yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right. And And again, in that scene, that's what I mean. You see the bones of Anguirus and and other species down there.
Yep.
And there's actually lore, and it's actually revealed in tie-in novels to the MonsterVerse that the reason why Godzilla had so much animosity for the Mutos is because the male Muto is actually the one that killed his father, the Godzilla before him. Because remember, in the first movie, they had uncovered all those bones. They had uncovered bones of a Godzilla.
Yes.
Yep. And then the first film with Bryan Cranston and what's his name? She played Quicksilver. Adrian Jones or whatever his name is.
I know who you're talking about.
Craven, the guy who plays Craven now. They actually found ancient bones of an ancient Godzilla. But yeah, you end up finding out that it was a Muto that took out Godzilla because they were those species were fighting for dominance, for the apex.
Mm.
And when it comes to Kong, you end up finding out that it was the Skull Crushers that ended up wiping out his species.
Yes.
Right? And then you find out that there's a whole, in the last movie, you find out there's actually a whole race of red apes as well.
Yeah.
And there was like a whole uprising or whatever. He tried to take over, he tried to be apex. But Godzilla ran him out of town, him and his followers out of town, and pretty much secluded them to that one area of Hollow Earth.
Exactly.
Yeah, you find out there's other lizard type characters like Shimu, or Shimu. That was an ice based that's an ice based lizard and stuff like that. They added so much more to the lore.
Yes, exactly. Like Shimu, the ice monster, was the reason why the Earth was in an ice age, like the last ice age, and the red ape used this the ice monster to plunge the world into another ice age, and there was just a lot of extra
exposition
and yeah.
And so I definitely enjoy that. And then especially if anyone has watched Monarch Legacy of Monsters, the TV show that ties into all this, it actually takes place right after the first film. It takes place in 2015. I don't want to dive too much into that because I want people to actually watch the show. And it was actually a really good show starring Kurt Russell, his son Wyatt Russell. It's a really fun show to watch. So I don't want to spoil anything for anyone. But at the end of season 2, it's now modern day. And there's a whole thing that goes into when it comes to the Hollow Earth and stuff like that. That it explains a lot of how it feels like the movies kind of jump around time periods in a way, because we got the Godzilla movie 2015, right? And then like the next film for King of Monsters, it feels like it's such a long time later. And then, because now and then in the third movie, they're going to Hollow Earth and shit like that. They now have, things that allow them to go into Hollow Earth and stuff like that. And that's what we see.
Yeah.
And which is crazy, because that's like, it's only been a few years since you even find out that Titans are even real. You know what I mean? But now you got all this tech.
Yeah, the pace moved very
fast. Yeah. So I was like, all right, that's I'll let that be. But it's dope because we end up finding out that, like, King Ghidorah, and they're like, oh wow, this is an apex predator and a monster, but he's not a part of our ecosystem.
Yeah.
He's an invader. So wait, are you saying like he's from outer space? He's not from this planet.
Yeah.
Not from this planet is crazy. But no, this was Godzilla is like he has like the character has literally completely the same way he terraformed that planet and Planet of Monsters, same way he's kind of like terraformed pop culture in a way.
Ooh, that was a good metaphor.
Yeah, he has completely changed what we know. And so this is something that I've realized about the movie industry. So if they're gonna drop a big project, something like Godzilla and stuff like that, something that hasn't been done before in a very long time to the scale that they're about to do, they'll drop what I call prototype films. So for that, remember that Power Ranger movie that came out back in the day, not too long ago? The most recent one? Well, before that film came out, there was a film that came out before that. And it was a live action version of an old Saturday morning cartoon. An old Saturday morning cartoon known as Max Steel. One sec. We got another comment from Justin Kuntz. They just need to hurry and introduce the aliens to the new Godzilla films. Agreed. I feel like they're taking too long, taking way too long with this. But I also feel like they feel like I think they maybe like the landscape is a little too the landscape right now for to go in to talk about aliens. They haven't set up for it. They have in a way where it's like with Ghidorah, him, them talking about he's an alien, he's not from Earth.
Yeah, like another invading alpha space monster. I mean, they've done a very good job in setting up like the background of what is happening, like so far. But I agree with you that they haven't really set the stage yet for the
outer
introduction.
space. Yeah, they haven't set the stage for like outer space for space aliens and stuff like that. They've been exploring more so Hollow Earth. They haven't like I said, they mentioned Ghidorah as an alien, but they haven't explored. There was no like, whoa, hold on. So you're telling me there's aliens too? There's monsters on our planet, and now there's monsters in outer space. They don't expand on that. So I don't think the next movie that they do would have to do a lot of work on expanding that.
At least explaining it to a point to where why things are happening.
And then the movie after that they bring in the aliens, right? Or in this movie because the entire reason why the aliens come into play is because Godzilla is on a rampage, and with the aliens, Godzilla is the bad guy. They haven't set up Godzilla as the bad guy since the first film.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah,
right. They, at least when it came to the Toho films, Godzilla was the bad guy for a long time before they made the switch for him to become anti-hero.
This is true.
Yeah, so they haven't, but with the Legendary's films, they went straight from even then, no, not even that. In the first film, he really wasn't even the bad guy. It was the Mutos that was the bad guys. And Godzilla came along because Natural Order was like, all right, he sensed that there was an apex predator.
Yes, that is true.
And so he woke up, came, rocked the alien shit, and left. Rocked that predator's shit and left. And they say that he's only showing up where there's apex predators encroaching on his territory, which is essentially Earth. So like, Kong, they say like Kong's the apex predator of Hollow Earth, Godzilla's the apex predator of Earth. All right, so like anytime there's an apex predator on Earth, Godzilla's like, all right, I want the smoke. But it doesn't. It kind of don't make sense because now we see in this last movie, Godzilla's like, all right, I need to charge up because I
think in the past, like Earth's past, Godzilla was the reigning
he was the king of monsters.
At least his species was.
Yeah, his species was the king. They held it down.
Yeah.
And so, but we end up seeing him go to that other monster's area, kill that monster just so he can absorb that monster's power, that the monster's radiation. In the last film, that's what makes it that, and that's what ends up turning him purple instead of blue.
Because he knew that he needed to use the resources that were available to him in order to succeed in what he knew he needed to do. Because like in my head, like Godzilla knows that there's a balance that has to be kept.
Mm-hmm.
And Godzilla knows that it's his job to try and keep that balance.
Mm-hmm.
So if something comes along that he knows will throw the balance of Earth off, he's gonna fuck it up.
Yeah, by any means necessary. Yeah, and I just found it a little like out of character for him to go and fuck with another monster that's not fucking with him and not messing around in his territory, that's staying to itself. For him to go with them just to, go do what you gotta do. That's just me. I just felt like that was a little out of character, for him.
Yeah, no, because we don't ever really see that happening in any other Godzilla movies, really. Like, we don't ever see Godzilla straight out attacking another monster just to absorb the radiation that monster has in order to fight another monster.
Yeah, because that's the way they played this last movie was as if they weren't just animals. They played it as if they were both sentient creatures with a high level of thinking. Clearly, Kong is, and being a primate.
Yeah. We do a little personification.
Yeah, they gave him a lot of personification in this one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, here we go. Justin says, if you're talking about Leviathan, there was a comic that explained that. They failed to explain in the movie where Leviathan was actually Godzilla's lair.
Oh, okay. So I believe that Justin is referencing that temple that is in the bottom of the ocean.
Or maybe because remember when they found him, he was in an iceberg. That was like where he was calling home. I gotta check that comic out.
Leviathan was the monster that Godzilla seeked out and destroyed in the iceberg. Yes.
Yeah.
I apologize. Yeah.
Where he turned pink, which I'm like, pink. I mean, I get it. Like in the Toho films, he does end up getting, pink fire, or it's more like purple. I called it, but I don't know. I just feel like the color didn't transition well. But on that topic, on Godzilla changing, has Godzilla been taking Ozempic? I need to ask. Did they put Godzilla on Ozempic from the third movie to this fourth movie? Because my man looking slim.
I mean, it is well known that Godzilla is supposed to have thunder thighs. So,
but he had thunder thighs, but what we see from the first film all the way up to this last film, my boy got a bit of a gut too. Like, what's he been doing between the films? Like, hitting the gym? Wearing a waist trainer? Now, I get it because they're like, all right, well, the original Godzilla wasn't this big and bulky. He wasn't that big and bulky. He was a little slimmer.
I will say that I really do appreciate how they did copy the old school look of Godzilla, like, to the more modern films. Like, I do appreciate that because, in my opinion, that is how Godzilla is supposed to look. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, in the originals, he had more of a rounded snout,
Yes.
And this one, they gave him more of a muzzle.
Yeah,
which
that's
is interesting because we've seen, because there is versions of Godzilla where he has more of a muzzle look. Because now, if we take a look at, one of like the original, Godzilla suits, like this one right here, you can see that, yeah, he has that, he has that rounded muzzle a little bit. Well, this one's also kind of a bit of a snout as well, with the nose at the end of the face.
Yeah.
In a little bit there. You see, he's like kind of rounded, and clearly he's also cockeyed as well. Godzilla don't see straight. Got a little thing going on his eye there. But yeah, you see that he has this one's a little bit more of a snout, but it's also a little more rounded, right?
Yes. Yeah, it is rounded.
Now, when we see kind of like some other forms of Godzilla, we end up seeing him with more of that more snout kind of looking thing. And I feel like it makes him look more menacing because his head's down, his eyes are staring straight. You know what I mean?
I agree. Yeah. He looks more like a reptile.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I agree. It gives him more of that reptilian look. So I like that version so much. But again, he is like super slim in this last film. Maybe you can chalk it up to, him adapting or whatever. He realized that, all right, he's dealing with a lot more like kind of agile, agile titans. Welcome back, Lord.
Yeah, sorry about that. Small fire I had to put out.
Oh, that's completely fine. Completely fine. Did you happen to tune in at all while you're putting out the fire?
I could not.
All right, so we went over quite a few things with when it came to Godzilla. We've had a few comments come in as well. Right now, we're specifically talking about the differences that they've made with the current film and certain things that we liked and didn't like within the current monster films as opposed to the original films. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say like the way Godzilla looks.
Mm-hmm. Because I had brought up that, like, between A New Empire and the last movie, I said, like, did they put Godzilla on fucking Ozempic or something? Because this man, like, he went from, and Jay was like, well, it's notoriously known that Godzilla got thunder thighs. I'm like,
God. Oh my God.
I'm like, yeah, you're right, but this Godzilla got thunder thighs and a gut. I'm look like he got a bit of a beer belly going on.
What was it he said in Goodfellas? Paulie might move slow, but that's because Paulie didn't have to move for nobody.
Yeah, yeah. So, and wow, that's crazy that you bring that up, because I literally just said maybe it's the possibility that, like, it was an evolutionary change that he made in order to keep up with, now he has to deal with more Titans on a regular basis. So now he has to move quicker and be faster. Maybe it's like an evolutionary change that he made, because for centuries he was number one on the top. He never really had any competition. But ever since Ghidorah showed up and tried to show his ass, now everybody wanted to take a run for the throne. So now he had to get back in the gym, get himself right again, and get back on his terror shit.
Yeah, that's not probably inaccurate, but it's also one of those things like you're a Chronicles of Riddick fan, just like I am.
Yep.
Like that whole thing with the title of Lord Marshal. If you're the Lord Marshal, only holds that title for so long until the next one comes along and kills him. So
yep.
If you're looking at it from that aspect, the only place when you're sitting on top is the only place you can go is down. And
legitimately, keep what you kill.
Yeah, legitimately, the only person who's actually even giving him a run for his money is Kong. So,
Ghidorah. Let's not forget Ghidorah.
yeah, do we really count Ghidorah though?
Yes, we count Ghidorah. Ghidorah has always been the one that has given him a run for money. That's why he's called King Ghidorah, because he's actually taken the throne from him before.
Yeah, well, we know who's sitting on the throne now, don't we?
Yeah, that didn't last long. That didn't last. Yeah, his reign did not last long at all.
As he naps in the Roman Coliseum.
Another thing I had brought up as well that I'm interested in getting your opinion on. We were talking about how in these films, as opposed to the last films, well, the Toho films, they have personified Godzilla a little bit more. So, all right, we know Kong is always going to be intelligent because he's a primate. He has a bigger brain. He has opposable thumbs, whatever, apes do like apes do. But Godzilla, he's a reptile.
Mm-hmm.
Yet in this last film, they've given him a lot of personality.
Yeah, we were talking about like how they've personified like the monsters a little bit more than like in the past, and
like they have thoughts and they have
like
feelings.
you can see like emotion
in their face and stuff like that. You know what I mean? As opposed to the Toho films, Godzilla only popped up when either one, he was destroying the city, or two, there was another monster that was trying to come at his throne. But in this last movie, we see him, we actually see him like go out of his way to go attack Leviathan and absorb his energy in order to fight Kong.
No, it was the
Mecha Godzilla.
Yes,
it was Mecha Godzilla. Yep. Yeah.
So my thing with this is that I think of Godzilla more as the reluctant predator. So he's pretty much established.
Okay, I like that. Yeah.
He's established. He's king. He knows he's on top. He knows that as far as he's concerned, he can spend his days doing X, Y, and Z. But that's not the case. There's always going to be someone who's going to try to challenge him, and when someone tries to challenge him, he puts them back in their place. That's why he lounges around and lays about the way he does. He's like, he care less. Like, he's Roman Reigns sitting on the island of relevancy at this point.
That's pretty good.
So, right, he can give a fuck. But the whole thing is that every time you see when he feels threatened, you see what he does. Like, he found a whole nother predator that had radiation and killed it and absorbed it just to go kill someone else. Someone who wasn't even fucking with him. He went and found them, killed them, took their power so he can go fight the next person. That's wild.
Yeah.
And not just that, he also took his lair, because apparently Leviathan, he made that his spot because of there was like a lot of thermal radiation in that area.
In the magnetic fields, yeah.
The magnetic fields. So he went there, murked Leviathan, absorbed his energy, and then stayed in that's what he literally walked into this man's crib, killed him, and then slept in his bed.
Yeah, it's real nice in here. I think I might stay.
And then
until he had enough strength, broke out of the ice and went and handled his business.
Right.
Then, we were talking about we touched on like how Godzilla, maybe Godzilla only decided to do that because he knew that he had to, because like I was saying in my head, Godzilla knows that it's his job to maintain the Earth's balance. So if he knows that something is going to be out of balance, like reluctantly, he has to step in.
Yeah, and I also think it's not even so much the balance. I think it's one of those things where they acknowledge literally, because you literally see them bow down to him, that he's acknowledged as the apex predator.
Yeah.
He's acknowledged as the strongest animal in the ecosystem. So he acknowledges that. So he knows that if something comes to protest him, it's not going to beat him into submission. It's going to kill him.
That's true. Yeah.
And there's a very strong age-old saying: on the battlefield, you got one of two options. You either get killed or do the killing. I know which one I'm going to do. I'm just saying. Now, from the Kong aspect, I think of Kong more as I think of him as the peaceful activist. I think of him as one of those ones who's like, look, man, I got no interest in this shit. I want to be left alone. He's like, but every time I turn around, there's some wild shit happening and I gotta address it. Like, he didn't want to fucking fight Godzilla. He had no interest in that shit. That was the humans thinking that he was the heavyweight that they could manipulate or control to handle this shit because they know what Godzilla was doing.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. That's very true because Kong, it was obvious that Kong didn't want anything to do with fighting Godzilla. But the very fact that Kong is able to be a threat to Godzilla, meaning Godzilla had to fight him.
Yeah.
And even I'm sorry to cut you off, but even that's the thing, because remember, Godzilla really wasn't fucking with Kong. Because even Godzilla was like, "Get out of here! I got other things to do." He didn't even recognize Kong until Kong picked up the axe that had a piece of Godzilla's scale, which is something that could harm him. So now he's like, "Oh, now you have something that can kill me. Now you're a threat. Now I got time."
That's true. That did happen.
And then another thing that I also spoke about when you like I did like right as you popped out was I was just finishing off talking about Godzilla Planet of Monsters. And I was trying to show the comparison, the size comparison, the power comparison, as opposed to Shin Godzilla. You know, so I showed, all right, well, this is what Shin Godzilla looks like, you know, and all the wild shit that we just saw that he's able to do. And in comparison to Planet of Monsters Godzilla, this is where Shin Godzilla stands. If you want to turn your attention to the screen, this is where Shin Godzilla stands. On the bottom there, we see his first form, we see his second form, and then we see his fourth form, and then his fifth form. It's kind of like towards the back, kind of behind the big Godzilla's leg. It's like a really dark, kind of like in there's like an area right here. It's like really dark. But yeah, now the Godzilla, if you can see where it says 50 meters, 50 M, that Godzilla right there. I don't know. Can y'all see that? Put it up. Y'all can see it. Triage, can you see that? But yeah, that Godzilla right there, the 50-meter Godzilla right there, that's the Godzilla that they defeat at the end of the first Godzilla Monsters film. The big one that you see, the 300-meter one, that's the one that wakes up at the end of the film.
You're fucked.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mind you, again, that's Shin Godzilla, which is like the size of this motherfucker's knee. The size of his knee.
So the largest Godzilla there is roughly 1,000 feet. I'm pretty sure that the skyscrapers in New York City are like 1,400 feet.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, I know. I said the same thing. When I said, oh, yeah, 300 meters, I don't know the conversion rate, he immediately was like, yeah, that's about 1,000 feet. I was like, oh, are you secretly European over here? Like, are you pulling a 21 Savage and, you're really from England, but, you don't have an accent or something like that? But no, that's exactly what I said. Off the top of his head, he was like, yeah, pink, no, yeah, 1,000 meters, yeah, 1,000 feet. But yeah, so that's nothing I was also talking about. Like, I highly recommend people going and watching those movies. They are absolutely they're epic. But yeah, no, that's pretty much what we were going through, and just pretty much talking about how like it's just Godzilla has pretty much terraformed the entirety of pop culture. And then we're talking about how we feel like, the newer movies, newer films have more so kind of like they've gotten a little fantastical, especially with that scene where Kong and Godzilla, they're running next to each other. Godzilla's in a full fucking sprint. And fucking Kong jumps on his back and kind of like rides his back or whatever. I'm like, come on now.
I mean, they just have a full-fledged conversation without talking. That's another thing I think that's funny, because it's like, do they really understand each other?
That's very, very true.
Like, he's like, whoa,
yeah.
Hold on, big guy, hold on.
Sun's getting low. Sun's getting low. Wait. Hey, listen. Like, without talking, is like, listen, there's some shit popping off down here. He trying to come up here. So listen, he a problem in my area. If he come up here, he gonna be a problem in your area, because not only is he an ape against me, but he got another dragon that's trying to come and smoke your boots too.
Listen, he got one of your people as a whole house nigga. I think you need to go take care of this.
I had completely forgotten about Mothra.
Yeah. Oh, that's
another thing too that wasn't really explained. Like, it's explained in the lore, but it's not really explained in the movie, because Mothra showed up and was like, "Oh, hail me," and they were all like basking in her glory, and they're like, "Oh my god, he is my friend. We have to fight together."
Because here's the thing:
Mothra shows up and has a full-fledged conversation with him.
Yeah, because I think Mothra. They in old films they give her the title, but Mothra is the queen of monsters.
Yes.
While Godzilla is a destroyer, she is a life bringer. So they balance each other out. That's why they're a king and queen. Right? Because pretty much his job is to help complete and keep that balance. Don't get me wrong, Mothra can put in work. She can put in work as well. Right? But Mothra has a whole she has a whole like a spiritual lore when it comes to her.
Yeah.
And that's something that I feel like they didn't do very well with her, because in Mothra's original lore, there are twins that are spiritually connected to her.
Yes.
And see them. We see those twins
in the movie. We do quickly.
Yeah. But we never see the twins together. No, we do. I think we see them at the end together or whatever. And then, but they kind of double back on that. Which is really interesting, because when the one lady, she's looking through and she sees pictures of these twins and stuff together, the pictures are actual image of the photos of the original twins as adults who played the original twins in the original Toho movies.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. And so, but they double back on having that spiritual connection to Mothra in the last movie with the little girl.
Yes. Yeah.
So, like, I think they realized that they didn't do very well with that part of the lore. So they doubled back to kind of correct it, and now we see the young girl, in kind of like a native garb, not Native American garb, but like, a native tribe garb, riding on the top of Mothra. Well, the new Mothra, the new born version of Mothra, because Mothra only arrives and shows herself when shit's about to get bad.
Yes. And notoriously, she always shows up when shit is about to get bad. And she
always sacrifices herself to heal Godzilla.
Yes. It was notoriously known that Mothra was always Godzilla's ally.
Yes, because again, King of Monsters, Queen of Monsters, they work together to keep that balance. Destroyer and Lifebringer, so on and so forth. I don't know. I feel like they need to do more of Mothra, because we see Mothra, but she runs Rodan through with her. With her spike.
That was very cool. Like, to actually see, because Mothra, you wouldn't think that Mothra is like super powerful, but she is.
but she actually really is.
Really is.
She really is. So how did you feel about like and this is my question for you, Triage, when it came to like the other like renditions of all the other like titans or monsters? You know, we see Rodan shows up quite a few times in the Toho films. We see, you know, the Behemoth, we see quite a few other of these monsters. How did you feel about the look, about the actual look of these monsters in the new MonsterVerse movie?
I think that they've done a good mixture of keeping them true to the source material while modernizing them. Like you said, the whole thing with Godzilla and how people thought Godzilla was beefy, he was too big. And I think they slowly changed that as time went by. But that's also one of those things, like you said, he's constantly moving around now. He's constantly going from here to there. And it's like, you know, if you stay in constant motion, of course, that's going to affect your physical appearance.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you look at Kong is significantly smaller between the movies also.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
And it's also one of those things.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Keep going.
I'm about to say it's also one of those things like where when we see the quote unquote creatures that are rising up to fight them, they're not even so much malnourished or look deprived. If anything, they look like they've been sitting there like, you know, eating just nothing but meat and potatoes for the last 5,000 years, waiting for a fight.
That's true.
What I was going to say is like something that I feel like maybe it's just me, but I feel like there's a continuity area with their size. I feel like their size kind of changes because if you look at maybe it's just the perspective that it's in now. Because
it is a fact. Like we do know that Kong gradually increased in size through the movies, like up until Godzilla versus Kong, because like
he was bigger.
In that film, they say he's like too big now for his enclosure, and he throws a tree up, and it gets stuck in it.
Oh yeah.
And so like they mentioned that he has gotten massively bigger, and I think that like that was
right.
necessary in order for him to fight, even like have a good fight with Godzilla. Like they had to actually state that.
Yeah, so and you're right. I completely forgot about that because their first face off, he was actually decently smaller than Godzilla. Godzilla kind of like, let's say like I'm 5'9", you know, that it was like the comparison between Kong and Godzilla I'd say is like close to the equivalent between me and Triage.
Because if you think about it,
yeah.
Like if you think about it, on Skull Island, Kong was fighting T-Rexes. If Kong fought a T-Rex in Godzilla versus Kong, he would step on the T-Rex.
That is a very solid point. That is a very solid point. But I guess it all comes down to adaptation because Kong was only on the island, so you only had to deal with the smaller monsters on that island. Now he's off the island. Now he's dealing with bigger threats. He naturally has to get bigger and adapt.
It could be like he's a goldfish. He's only growing as big as his area that he's in.
As his bowl.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, because like in Japan, if you see a goldfish, you know, they're huge. As opposed to here in America, you find a goldfish in a damn PetSmart or something, they're small as hell. But that's because they grow as big as their environment allows them to. That is, wow, that's solid. I didn't think about that. Oh, and it's I don't know why I didn't think about that because we just talked about the adaptation that Godzilla had to go through as well.
Yeah, because that thought had just occurred to me where he fought the T-Rexes, Kong, and then like versus like the most recent movie where he could literally step on one. Like that literally just popped into my head before. And what
I was going to bring up is if you take a look at Godzilla in 2014 film. He's massive. You know, when the soldiers airdrop and they're dropping through the clouds and stuff like that, and you see how small they are in comparison to Godzilla. They're literally going down, and they're like sliding between his spines.
They're like
between his
fleas.
spikes. Yeah, they're like fleas to him. But then I thought about it, I was like, it's the perspective that the film is in. 2014's perspective was from the human's perspective. But now if you look at New Empire, it's from the monster's perspective.
That's very true.
So now they don't look as big because, you know, Godzilla to Kong, they look like, you know, as if me and you were looking towards each other. We look normal. But now me and you, to a kid, to somebody that's super small, we look like giants.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, that's an accurate description of that. Now,
Yeah.
but here's something else too. Now I was thinking about also, because we theorized the whole thing with them adapting to their environments because of everything that's going on with them having to face bigger and badder predators. It has been stated that they are a result of radiation in this continuity.
Yes. So the more radiation that, well, technically no, they never really remember, because when in this iteration of them, they've always been there, as opposed to the original iterations that it was nuclear radiation that made them grow so big. But
in this new iteration, they're Titans, and they've
always been there. They've always been a part of the Earth's ecosystem, and you know, and then they've always been under the Earth, within Hollow Earth, within like a pocket. They never really explain. Well, this is why you guys have to watch Monarch, because Monarch gives a little more explanation onto what Hollow Earth is.
It does explain that Godzilla is nuclear, like
yes, these creatures, so apparently because Hollow Earth is closer to the Earth's core, there's more radiation.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
which has allowed them to grow and be so much bigger. That's kind of like the same thing with, you know, if you look, you know, with dinosaurs and shit like that, you know, there was more oxygen in the air, which allowed them to grow larger, to grow bigger.
Yeah, that's why you had like a literally a foot large mosquito back then, like in prehistoric times.
Exactly. So for them, since they're like you said, they feed off radiation, they're closer to the Earth's core, so there's more radiation there. So they're growing and growing. But yeah, maybe I see what you're saying, Triage. Maybe it is, you know, now because they're just feeding off a lot of this radiation, they're getting bigger.
Right. So if that was the case, what would stop a Titan from going into a nuclear plant and absorbing that radiation, like Chernobyl, or like literally go into like a missile silo and biting into a missile?
Nothing, because we've seen it done. With Muto, that's what Muto was doing. He was going around to all the nuclear sites, and he was, you know, feeding off the nuclear radiation. There's I will talk about this scene from Monarch. It was one of the beginning scenes in Monarch that kind of starts everything, kind of steamrolls everything going forward. Kurt Russell's younger Kurt Russell, who's played by his son Wyatt Russell. They are, you know, him, I forget the Asian chick's name, and another American guy. They're hunting down, you know, they have a theory that there's these Titans. They don't know specifically that there are, but they're hunting them down. There's a theory that there is. They find, and they're in like Russia, and they're supposed to be going to a nuclear plant, and they're like, well, they're looking at a map. They're like, we should be in the middle of a nuclear and an irradiated area, but they pull out the Geiger counter and they're like, there's no radiation here. What's going on? This is weird. All right, let's venture further in. And the further in they got, then like, you know, they got actually to the actual plant, and they're like, this whole place is supposed to be irradiated right now. We're not supposed to even be able to survive where we are right now. What's going on? And they end up going into a missile, one of the silos where the radiation should be, and then the Geiger counter starts spiking a little bit, and they're like, "What is going on? We're in the smack dab in the middle of a nuclear reactor," and they look down, and there's eggs, bunch of eggs in the bottom of the nuclear reactor, and it's because a bunch of bugs had came through Hollow Earth, and they had been sitting there absorbing the radiation out of that entire area for years. So that area is no longer radioactive, which is the same situation that we find in 2014 Godzilla, Bryan Cranston and his son. What is his name? He plays Craven now.
Aaron
Taylor Jones.
Yes.
Thank you. I know it was A and I know it was a J, but Aaron Taylor Jones, when they go to this cordon off area after years of it's supposed to be blocked off because it's irradiated, they go there and they realize there's no radiation here, and it's because the Muto, as it was growing, was absorbing all the radiation that was in that area to grow. So there is within the universe, yeah, they've laid the seeds for that to be the thing, and then when Muto does arrive, that's all the creature does is go around and just eats radiation. They even had put a nuke on a train that was supposed to be that they were supposed to use as bait to take him out. So yeah, I think your theory holds a lot of water within the universe that they've built so far.
I agree.
So I don't know. I've been thoroughly enjoying the this iteration of Godzilla. And with that, and I feel like it's fun. It's hilarious because it really took Japan and Toho stepping in with these Godzilla films. It took them stepping in order for America to make some good Godzilla films.
Which is funny.
And it's weird because you would think, you know what I mean, anybody that watches Godzilla, they'd be like, all right, I watch Godzilla and it makes sense. I can recreate a film that equally makes sense. But we end up having, Matthew Broderick's Godzilla be made. And it's, in a way, I feel like the only things that Matthew Broderick's Godzilla had that were similar to, Toho's Godzilla is the fact that it ate nuclear radiation. It was a lizard, and it breathed fire.
I don't even think that
and it can swim in water. Yeah, it did. Yep. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. So it didn't necessarily breathe fire. The way they did it was that because when we breathe out hot air. All right. When humans breathe out, we breathe out hot air. So what it was is like, they're like, all right, well, this creature is so big that when it breathes out, the air is so hot that it sets everything on fire.
Okay.
That's the ideology that they were going with that one.
I mean, that's sound.
Yeah, it's sound. It did make sense because they were definitely trying to take a deeper scientific approach on this, and it kind of it fell flat.
Yes, but I do appreciate that like it was the first modern Godzilla movie that they made that they tried to take like the actual scientific reasoning behind it.
Yeah, but I mean, all the other Godzilla films did the same thing. They just didn't, because I think when it comes to Godzilla,
at least modern.
Yeah, well, back in the day, when it came to Godzilla, if you try to explain a giant radioactive fire-breathing lizard scientifically back then, if you really try to explain it too much, it doesn't make sense. But when you loosely explain it, anything can make sense when you loosely explain it. And I think that's really what it was for the old Toho films. They were loosely explaining what Godzilla was.
Yeah.
And so when Sony tried to do it and try to give a scientific explanation for a creature that's been loosely explained, it just didn't work out right. That was kind of like, let's say they try to, the way I see it is they try to create something solely based off of written description, right? So if somebody was to describe something for you and said, draw it, right? They have the picture of what they want you to draw, but they describe the photo to you. What you draw is not going to look like what they have in the picture that they're looking at.
I get what you're saying by that.
Yeah.
It almost does seem like they made the movie just based on like written like account, like as if you never saw Godzilla before and you read about Godzilla, you would make that.
Exactly. It's literally like somebody was like, all right, listen, so I want to make a movie, right, about a giant lizard, right, that breathes fire, right? It has spines on its back. It has a like a long kind of snout. It has stubby arms, kind of like a T-Rex, right? And then it breathes fire too.
Yeah.
And so that's what they got.
But like, nigga, you want to make a Godzilla movie? I didn't say that. I didn't say that. Like, it sounds like a Godzilla movie. Dude, are you paying attention to what I'm saying to you?
It's a giant lizard with spines on its back that breathes fire.
And it's just going to happen to be a result of radiation, and it's going to have to swim over from, like, North Asia. Nigga, that's Godzilla. No, bro, you're not listening to me.
Do you want to get copyright strikes?
Are you talking about a dragon?
No. It looks like a dragon, but it's not a dragon. Okay, then you're talking about Godzilla. No. It looks like Godzilla, but it's not Godzilla. Bro, you're describing Godzilla. That's literally what that was. And literally, so Toho literally stepped in and was like, sir. No. No. And so now Warner Brothers, and Legendary is a subsidiary of Warner Brothers. Is it Legendary?
I believe so.
Yeah, it's Legendary. Yeah. So Warner Brothers pretty much owns like Legendary Films, right? So Toho teams up with Warner Brothers and Warner Brothers Pictures, and it's like, hey, listen, we're gonna let y'all try again. All right. But this time we're gonna show you the picture that we described before. We're gonna show you the picture that we described before, and see where it goes. Right?
And then they take a look at it and they're like,
that's nothing like what I thought it was.
But I mean, look-wise, style-wise, I didn't hate that Godzilla. Like I said, I just felt like the people in it did not portray the gravity of the situation well.
Yes. I do agree. I fully agree with that. The actual look of that Godzilla, I did not mind at all either, because it was like more of a modernized, newer version of like the new Godzilla.
And then the whole thing with them going like, oh, like God, like that he was pregnant, and I'm like, wait, what? Yeah, you don't remember?
And then they were like,
she? It's a she?
Like, it's a she, and she was pregnant, so that means
like there's another one. Like, no, he just reproduces asexually. Like, oh, where's the fun in that?
And then find out there was another one.
Like the shit was insane. Like, so from that aspect, I got it. But like I said, I think the government's taking that just a little bit more seriously. They would have nuked New York City before they let that shit get out of control.
Yeah,
they would have.
They had Godzilla lay her eggs in Madison Square Garden, right?
It was in the subway or something, right?
It was Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, it's in Madison Square Garden. And here's my thing that's kind of wild. How does something that big lay eggs that small?
But you gotta think like the egg wasn't necessarily small.
It was also like them.
In comparison to how big that creature was, the eggs that she laid were actually really small. So the only way I can think of, and if we look at IRL, large creatures that lay small eggs like that would be like a fish.
Well, I mean, similar principle. Like you also got to remember, like we don't like as for most lizards lay eggs to begin with. Most reptiles do. Mm-hmm. So turtles, snakes, X, Y, and Z. So you figure if it had, which it did, a few dozen.
That was like 100. That was a few hundred.
So yeah, so even then, so let's say a few hundred, which means if it was carrying all these in a said, I don't want to say womb, but
yeah, inside of it,
or on its body, it had to have projected them from somewhere. So it's like you figure a creature that size laying 300-400 eggs. That sounds accurate to me, especially with the egg being with the creature inside the egg being 6 feet tall.
Yeah, that's where I was gonna come around to. The way I would see them, like laying those eggs, I can't see that laying eggs how like a turtle lay eggs. I would say it would have to be like how the eggs
come out in like a string of eggs.
Or more so like pretty much how a fish spawns eggs, it's kind of like pour out in a way.
Like that sound, yes, yeah.
I apologize
just like that.
For my sound effects. I apologize for my sound effects. But no, yeah, that's the only way I could see it. But now if you go back to the lore, Toho Godzilla only lays one egg. And it lays that one egg before it knows that it's going to die. And it lays an egg, goes to the battle, dies, and then egg hatches, and that's how they keep going. That's why there's always been one Godzilla.
Just like a King Piccolo situation. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yep, exactly. It's one big ass egg. But now you got to think about it though. But if you look at that Godzilla, Matthew Broderick's Godzilla, that concept though would have been crazy. That many Godzillas, that would have, and then if they all were able, they all are able to get that big.
Oh, the Earth is doomed.
The world, at least America,
at least.
And then they're all able to swim. The world is over.
No, the world's over. The world is over.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if they don't have a long gestation period and they can literally lay eggs themselves after 1 year.
Mm-hmm. Because again, we don't know how fast they grow. But also in the end, if she feeds off nuclear material, there's not that much nuclear material in the world.
They would have become cannibalistic real quick.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. And I feel like as quickly as it started, it would also that quickly end.
Oh.
Unless somehow the world decided to do some stupid shit like fucking nuke everything, and then they're just now the entire world's an irradiated wasteland that they can just walk through.
Yeah.
Hold on. We got a comment here. Justin Coons. First off, thank you for watching this long. This is a long ass episode. Thank you for watching this long. But he says, we do actually know how fast they grow. The cartoon kind of told us. I don't remember. I don't remember. And that's wild of you to be able to remember that. Like, how do you that cartoon was so long ago? I literally all I remember is the images. I remember bits and pieces of the intro. I remember certain parts of the show. I don't remember any dialogue. I don't remember how any of the characters sounded. Nothing. That's crazy. So I would like to go back, and I can definitely go double check that because that is interesting. But yeah, no, if again, if they do grow fast, the world is over. But again, there's only so much nuclear material in the world. Once those are depleted, like you said, Shiraz, they'd probably end up turning cannibalistic to absorb the radiation from each other, and then we'll end up with one Godzilla left. But again, that will probably die out because there's no more nuclear radiation.
It's going to be even worse, though, if that were to happen, because if they had to start eating each other and there would only be one left, then that one that's left is literally going to be the strongest and most deadly one.
Mm-hmm. But here's the other thing too. But they actually ate meat. They actually ate flesh. Because remember, the soldiers went in and the soldiers didn't come out. And when
because they smell like the fish.
Yup. They eat fish.
Yep.
But that also begs another problem too. If you're taking that scientific trip outside of it, something that big, what is it eating to be that big and have lived that long in the ocean? What is it eating? Whales? It would have, in order to sustain that size, it would have, but that's the thing. It would have by the time this movie took place, as long as it was, because remember, it's supposed to this Godzilla was supposed to be a radiated iguana.
Yeah, I remember that in the very beginning.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a nuclear radiated iguana that mutated and became that big, and those nuclear tests were performed during the Cold War. So we have to look at like the time frame between the Cold War to 1998. Let's see. When
That's
was
like
the Cold
30 years.
Yeah.
Big surprise for the Russians.
Big surprise.
Let's see. That was like, the Cold War was a period between from 1947 until the fall of the Soviet in 1991. Damn. That's actually a lot more recent than I thought. But anyways, so let's just say 1947 to 98.
I'm just going to say it's kind of interesting that the Cold War started the same year that Roswell happened. Just saying.
But no, yeah, that is so yeah, that's like what, 40 years? No, that's what am I talking about? No.
That's like 30 years.
Yeah. It's like 30. That's like 30 to 40 years. So within 30 to 40 years, what has something that big? Well, I don't know. Yeah, it increasingly got that big. So it didn't start out that big. So probably from the last 10 years, something that big had to be eating something big enough to fit in its mouth. And it would have probably ran through the there's also a lot of the ocean that's unexplored, so we don't know. Damn, wow, there's a lot of unknowns in that.
I feel like Godzilla would be able to survive like by eating whales.
Oh, we also have to think about hibernated state as well, because it's what their lizards are cold-blooded, right? Reptiles
That's very true.
And they go into hibernative states.
Yes, and Godzilla would go into a hibernative state for years at a time.
Yeah. So yeah, they can go into hibernative state on and off for those years. So it wouldn't have to eat that much. It would wake up, eat a shit ton, and then go back to sleep. And within the time that it goes to sleep, everything that it just ate repopulates. It wakes up, does it again.
And Godzilla might get most of the things that he's metabolizing through radiation.
And here's another thing too. we're also just assuming that it can only process organic material. Because, remember, serves me correctly, that movie opens up with him attacking a tugboat, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it's been known that sharks, they have found license plates in shark stomachs.
Yeah.
Yep. Shout out to Deep Blue Sea with you had to pull the license plate from the tiger shark's mouth.
So, if it's that same principle where it's going to attack anything it thinks is a meal, that fucker could take down a whole goddamn cruise ship and not think twice about it.
That's true. That's true. It could also be residing in an area of the ocean that has a higher thermal radiation level or thermal radioactive area.
It's a proven and known fact that the human race has never gone any further than 2 miles into the ocean.
Yeah, because the pressure
will crush us.
Yeah,
that's the story they tell anyway.
Yeah,
is that the pressure will crush you, and they said that no one's ever going more than 2 miles. Yet there's parts of the ocean that go phenomenally deeper than that.
Yes, yeah.
I
mean, I think
the whole show, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Challenger Deep is 7 miles.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the average, like for everywhere, is 4.
Now, see, once again, you say that. Now, 7 miles in your mind is not far.
If I remember correctly, the deepest submarine dive was 35, like almost 36,000 feet.
And even then, like after that, people have to spend a certain amount of time in a tank, the pressure, readjusting the pressure of their bodies.
Yes, yeah.
Otherwise,
what's it called?
But think about it. If you're 7 miles under the ocean, you have 7 miles worth of water sitting above you
and pressing down on top of you.
Yeah, that's literally like having 500 747 jets on top of you.
Okay, you got to be looking at Google or something, because there ain't no goddamn way you know this math.
I watch a lot of TV, man.
Listen, ain't nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that. Damn.
But I'm saying it from this aspect. So, like, you've seen Aquaman.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen the Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. It's been proven. It's a proven fact that most Atlanteans or most people who live under the water have a higher density in comics because they have to survive the sub-zero pressure and cold of the water.
That's true.
And that's what makes Aquaman bulletproof.
That's what.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's like a dead weight. That's
what made Namor so strong.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So think about that also. So it's like, not only is he evolved for the cold and the pressure, not only is he sleeping down in said area, which is also pitch black, which could have an enormous amount of food down there to begin with, because like you said, we don't know what's down there at that size, because anything that's down there in the dark under that much pressure is going to evolve or adapt to deal with it to begin with.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure what the deep is. Yeah, you said it's Challenger Deep, which is in the middle, which is in the Mariana Trench.
Right.
Correct.
Which they said is documented as the deepest area we've been to, as far as I know, because I believe that's where they dropped Megatron in the Transformers.
Yep.
Yes. Yep. That is exactly right.
So look at it from this point of view in this aspect. So they say that the average shark can swim about 50 feet and grows probably to be just over like 20. Right? Anywhere from 15 to 20 feet. They said the largest croc on record that was caught was 35 feet.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And this fucker was caught because no one even knows how long these things live for. So could you imagine a croc that got out into the ocean, never came across a predator that could take it down, that had some years on it?
There are species of shark, like sleeper sharks, that literally live like 500 years.
See?
Yeah. Yep. Like I if I remember correctly, yeah, the one of the oldest sharks like looks like not it looks like a stone because it's old and they've documented it's like covered in war battle scars. I think it was spotted off the coast of Australia.
It's amazing to think, like, when we were still in horse and buggies, the same shark is still swimming in the ocean right now.
And it's like if you know someone who knows your predators
Greenland, I'm
from
sorry, Greenland. It was 512 years old.
Oh, a
Excuse me.
Greenland shark.
Estimated the Greenland shark.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
But if you're someone who knows your predators, you know the predators adapt, they evolve. They always survive or try to make themselves more efficient. So it's like if Godzilla is that, one thing it's going to do, like the Venom symbiote, is always survive.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Now-
his body will do anything or change or like
we
in
also
order
have
to adapt.
We also have to remember this other scientific fact that cold preserves preserves organic material.
That's very true. That's very true.
Oh yes, this is very true. Very true.
Right. So the cold, creatures living in that depth, not only are, like you said, their density is different, but also their aging is slowed because of the cold.
Yes, their metabolism is
It's slower.
extremely slow.
Yep. So they also don't have to eat as much. So that could also be another thing as well. On top of it being a lizard that hibernates, or it's not called hibernation. There's another word for it when lizards do it.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I can't remember the name. There's another name for when lizards do it. Hibernation is for warm-blooded creatures. I can't remember the name for cold-blooded creatures.
It's
but
not basking. It's like
the name escapes me.
yeah. Whatever.
But with that being said, so it also its aging is slowed. It doesn't have to eat as much because its metabolism is slowed. And it also goes into that, that hibernative state. What's it called? Oh, Burmate. Cold-blooded
yeah,
animals,
that's it.
reptiles and amphibians will go into what's called Burmate, Burmation, instead of hibernation. So on the other hand, when they hibernate, animals have to eat a whole bunch of food to store energy within their body while they sleep. But in Burmate, it's the opposite. They slow down their metabolism, so they don't have to eat as much. They don't have to drink as much, and they're able to survive. Like I said, there's frogs that can be frozen for over a year.
Yeah.
And then they thaw out and they wake up like nothing happened.
They literally have organic what is it called? That stuff that doesn't freeze, antifreeze.
Yes.
In their blood.
Yep. Yeah, they have like an organic version of antifreeze. So no, it is now when you really explain it, it does become scientifically possible.
That is so interesting.
But now you got to find a creature that has all those aspects. All right. You got to find a creature that has all those aspects. Now that's interesting.
Yes.
No,
Really
the problem, like I said, you got to find it. You got to find it. Because you got to think about, why would a creature that pretty much has all it needs to survive down there decide to come up here?
Oh, I can think of a few good men in white lab coats with government funding doing some shit they ain't got no business doing.
That's how it always starts. That's how it always starts. Nope. Because in a lot of these situations, it's not necessarily the people with the white skin that are problems. The people with the white coats.
Wow!
Yeah!
Wow!
I had to say
went there.
Thing.
Wow!
I had to say because a lot of times.
Wow! that was so out of pocket.
No offense, Jay. No offense, Jay. No offense, but
my God!
But if you look at a lot of times, people are like, "Oh, that's white people shit. Black people never do that. That's white people shit. Black people never do that." It don't matter what color skin you are. They're wearing a white coat. They're doing shit that they're not supposed to. They're wearing a white lab coat. They're doing shit that they're not supposed to.
Listen, man. There are some things that man was not meant to tamper with.
Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Like making a virus a weapon of mass destruction. Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yeah, we know about that in real life.
I mean, listen, man, you can just look at cinema history, all right? The Species, the Terminator. They never said why Mad Max's world was fucked up, but I guarantee you Uncle Sam had something to do with it. Fucking Waterworld. Oh, come on, man. There's always some wild fuckery and someone at the middle of it who simply went, we had the best of intentions. We were going to make mankind better. We were going to make the world a utopia. And yet somehow they fucked it in the ass all to hell.
I don't know how it could have went so wrong. The road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Yeah, that is a very true saying.
Seriously. But that's crazy. Like when you really think about it, break it down. If you really look at, so like I said, from the Cold War started in late 40s. I think it was like 47 or something like that. Don't quote me. It was like 47. All the way until, like you said, it was like early 90s.
Yeah, 47 to 91.
Oh, thank you. And then, you know what I mean? Within that time frame, something that lives in the bottom of the ocean, and again, we all know, like, it's survival of the fittest. If this was an iguana, right? We've seen, iguanas can drop because they go into that, they go into that Burmate state. They'll be in the middle on a fucking tree, go into that Burmate state, fall off a tree, hit the ground like hard as hell, and get back up.
Yeah, that's
right. Good. So they're very resilient creatures. Right. Hell, look at a Komodo dragon.
Oh my God, they're scary.
Yeah, Komodo dragons are one of the most dangerous fucking forms of a lizard.
We didn't even know that Komodo dragons existed until the late 1800s.
Just motherfucker with these. I thought I was bad with random facts. You watch a lot of TV. I gotta get back to watching TV. I gotta get back to watching TV because even I forgot that. But yeah,
I just remember the stupidest shit.
hey, no information is useless.
Yeah, no, because you never know when you might need it. Never know when you might need it. But yeah. So there's a strong possibility that an iguana that got hit with nuclear radiation, and we all know nuclear radiation is known to mutate and change things. In Chernobyl, there are plants that have evolved in order to absorb the radiation in order to survive.
There's animals out there too that have survived the radiation and adapted to it.
Yeah, there's a massive population of wolves in Chernobyl that are huge, that are very big, because they've had to adapt to to the radiation.
Yeah, that's very true, and they're thriving. These wolves
thriving.
I just thought of a really, really good question. So now tell me what you guys think, if this is possible. Out of the trillions of planets that there is out there, and with all the possibilities of life, do you think that it is possible for a planet somewhere out there to exist with a very high amount of radiation on it that was able to produce life, do you think that a creature similar to Godzilla in proportions could possibly exist in reality?
Yes. I definitely think so, because if you got to look at probabilities when you're doing something like that. You got to look at probabilities.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And that alone is terrifying.
Scary as shit. Terrifying. But again, the question is, if something did exist like that there where it's able to live and thrive, why would it come out of its natural habitat and into an area that is less hospitable for it?
Correct. Yeah, that's very true.
Motherfucking lab coats. Motherfucking lab coats. I mean, somebody sent them, like, they literally say we know more about space than we do about the oceans beneath us.
You know, for some reason, I just feel like white lab coats are just going to be super unpopular in the future.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The white lab coats are going to do something that screws every other person that's not wearing a white lab coat. And then we're going to have to rely on those same white lab coats. Well, maybe not the same, because they're probably going to be dead, because they're probably going to be the ones that start the shit. They're probably going to get the brunt of the bullshit. And then we got to deal with it. So we got to find other lab coats to fix the problem that the first lab coats started. I'm telling you, there's two type of people in this world that I really don't mess with. I don't really like people. I don't really like suits, and I really don't like lab coats, because it's the ones in the suits and the ones in the lab coats that tend to screw up people like us that are not in suits or lab coats.
That is a very, very true observation.
Mm-hmm. Usually that's how it is. Either the people in the suits that are in, it's usually the politicians and the men in suits, men and women in suits making decisions that screw us up, or it's the men and women in lab coats that make decisions that screw us up.
Very true.
Yep. But God, I really don't want to end this conversation because this is good. This is really, really good. But
yes,
we are coming up on we're coming up on 3 hours. We got to call this episode at some point. So can I make the executive order here and call it?
You may, sir. You may.
I really don't want to, because this is fucking good. This is fucking good. This episode has gone way better than I expected it to. I know it's going to be a good episode, but this is fucking great.
Yeah, this was a very good episode.
Yeah. So with that being said, final remarks on Godzilla as a pop culture icon, and last on what they're currently doing now with Godzilla. Triage, shoot.
As a very large man in a very small world, don't let anyone ever tell you different. Size does matter.
Ladies, don't listen to him. He's gonna steer you wrong every time. Don't listen to him. Don't listen to him. Don't listen to him. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to Godzilla, the little man comes out on top.
Sure he does.
I don't think that's true.
And they win every time. The little species wins every time.
Yeah, all right.
Because again, it's not how big you are, it's how smart you are, right? It's how you what you know what to do with that little body.
Oh God.
Oh, Well, yeah. What are your thoughts on what they're doing currently now with Godzilla? Quick run through. What do you think? Like, what are your thoughts on what they're doing right now?
I think that as far as what they're doing and what they're building up to is hopefully going to come to an epic climax, and a climax is epic, exactly as epic as the beginning. And hopefully we will all be satisfied, not left disappointed, because with a lot of the mainstream franchises they've been doing as of late, we've had a few years build up to have shit just fizzle out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at you, Underworld and Transformers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oof. Maybe size does matter. Well, actually, no, can't even say that. Actually, no, that actually proves my point. Size don't matter. These are big franchises doing big things.
Nah, they listen.
And
they make the money. They make the money, but I'm left wanting more.
Yep. Like I said, it's not the size. Not the size that matters. You can be a big franchise and still disappoint. Just saying. You just proved my point, sir. You just proved my point. Thank you.
I ain't proved shit. I know what I said. I know what I meant.
I said what I said. I meant what I meant.
You hear me say I am? I know what I said.
Oh man.
Well, not try your green eggs and ham.
Jay, your thoughts on Godzilla as a pop culture icon and what they're doing currently with Godzilla?
Oh man. I could not imagine the world without Godzilla.
Mm-hmm.
Or like, a city large monster attacking it. Right now, I think that what they've been doing, especially with like the Monarch series and stuff like that, they've been doing a very good job. But I also do not want to be left disappointed, like Triage said, because we all know that hopes can be dashed.
Yes, very much so. Very, very much so. We got a quick comment in here. One last thing. Justin's thoughts on it is if they make a Godzilla versus Gamora movie and it and it all, I'll be fully happy. I agree. I want to see more of the other monsters.
Yes.
That's my hopes for what they're for me, what they're doing right now with the Godzilla series. I want to see more of the classic monsters that we've seen in the older Toho films. Like Gigan. I want to see the humanoid ones like Megalon. Right? Megalon was a giant robot, Jet Jaguar.
Yes, Jet Jaguar.
Yeah, more beings like that.
Right, when you got Godzilla fighting Voltron.
You've got Rodan, you've got Mechaguirus.
Mechaguirus, that's a good one.
You got so many more monsters, man, that they could modernize and show on the big screen. That would be awesome.
Mecha
Like seriously, like we've seen Mothra, we've seen Ghidorah, we've seen Mechagodzilla, we've seen Rodan. Again, we forgot Hydra as well, which is literally like a pollution. Hydra was created as a same way Godzilla was created as a kind of like a cautionary tale from nuclear. For nuclear weapons, Hydra was created as a cautionary tale of pollution. Biolante was was created as a cautionary tale to global warming and taking care of the earth and shit like that. So
with your powers combined, I am Captain Planet.
Yeah, we got Space Godzilla. We got Destroyer.
Yeah.
Monster X. We got Kaiser Ghidorah as well. That's like the one that has the one mecha head in the middle,
Yep.
right? Then we got Ibera, which is kind of like a mutated shrimp.
Ibora, yeah.
Megalon. We got Titanosaurus. We got King Caesar. That's who it was. King Caesar. That's who him and King Kong teamed up to beat. King
Yes.
Caesar. Yep.
Yep.
And he was like an ancient Chinese monster. You know, there's all these big monsters. Baragon.
Yes.
Baragon. Man. You said yeah, there's just, man, come on. There's all these big fights that and then team ups as well.
Yeah, especially with the team ups.
Yeah, come on. I got it. We gotta see more. We gotta see more. We have to see more. Because they have an entire universe that you're not exploring. You're only fucking around with Godzilla, Kong. You're creating and even then they're creating monsters like Scar, what was his name?
Scar King?
Yeah, Scar, like with Scar King and Shimu. You're creating monsters when you got all these classic monsters like Destroyer. Like fucking Destroyer. Destroyer was one of the baddest fucking monsters that Godzilla had to fight.
Yeah. That was a good one.
Like he's massive. He's massive.
Plus,
And
we would get to see all these awesome abilities that all these monsters have too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I feel like if they did like Destroyer and like you know in the style that they're doing now, would be crazy. Because wasn't there like twin monsters? It was like it was like Gigan and what was it? It was like Gigan and somebody. It was like, so there was one that had blades for hands, and there was another one that had a saw in its chest.
Yes. So Gigan was the one that had blades for hands, and he had like a beak.
Yeah.
And what was the other one you just said?
Was it Ghidorah?
Ghidorah is the three-headed monster.
Yeah,
Yes.
no, yeah, my bad. Why did I say that? No, it's not Ghidorah. No. Damn, what was
the saw. There was another one that also had saws for hands, and he
yeah,
was like a
chainsaws.
cockroach looking thing.
Yeah,
that was Megalodon.
Yes. Yeah, you know, creatures like that, and like I remember he had to fight them both at one time.
Yeah, and they were digging through the ground and coming up, and sick.
Yeah, there's so much potential. There's so many places that they can go with this. I need to see them go there, right? But I feel like where they're current at with the franchise, I feel like they're starting to fizzle a little bit.
I agree.
They're starting to fizzle a little bit. So I need this next film to be. So I feel like Godzilla and Skull Island were great, right? Then King of Monsters, great, right? And then I feel like when Godzilla versus Kong came, it didn't meet the hype necessarily that everyone wanted, but it wasn't bad. And then what happened?
I think it was too long.
Yeah, it was too long of a movie, right? And then they threw in Mechagodzilla as well, which didn't really hit as well. You know what I'm saying?
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Hey, listen, it's been a minute. If you haven't watched it, then yeah, I'm sorry. You're it's been a while since that movie's been out. But then with the new Empire, it just, I feel like it's, you know, they hit a peak with King of Monsters, and now they're starting. I feel like they're hitting a bit of a decline, right? Because it wasn't the last two movies weren't bad. They weren't too bad. They weren't bad. They weren't bad at all, but they definitely weren't as good as the first three films.
Mm.
Yeah, so I feel like they're in a bit of decline. So this next film, they need to bring in a story and have a storyline that's solid, and just don't make a Godzilla movie just to make a Godzilla movie.
Facts.
Right? Because you don't have they don't have to worry about losing the rights, because it's Toho who's a partner with it, who's actually they're the ones who own the IP for Godzilla.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
don't have to worry about, because a lot of times with people with that with the rights and shit like that, you have to make material for that character within a certain amount of time when you lose the rights. That's why we end up getting, people pushing out material just to push out material, and it's not even a good story. They're just doing it to keep the rights.
Yeah, which is just not the way to do it.
No, so but they don't have to worry about a rights issue in this situation. Take your time. Take your time. Because when did New Empire come out?
New what?
The last Godzilla movie, when did that come out?
It was
wasn't-
last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago. I think it was like a year ago.
Yeah. So I'm like, all right, take your time. Take your damn time, because I do not want to see. I don't want to see. Yeah, it was last year. I don't want to see another Godzilla movie for a little bit, a little while. Because what we had 2014 for Godzilla, 2017 for Skull Island, and then we get King of Monsters in 2019. All right, so 14, 15, 16, 17, 17, 18, 19. That's now they're dropping 2 years apart. Godzilla versus Kong, that's 21, 19, 20, that's what, 19, 20, 21, that's 2 years. And then what? And that was like, 21, 22, 23, 24. Now we got 3 years for New Empire. I'm gonna need about 5 years before we get another American Godzilla film. Take this time to write a very solid, a deep, Godzilla story.
Yeah.
That involves a classic, a classic monster villain, right? And then let's also see, some cameos of some other, allied, monsters.
Yes.
Even in
I
this,
agree.
even I don't want to see guys. I don't want to see Kong. I want a Godzilla movie. I don't want to see Kong, because the last 3 movies had Kong.
As long as they don't make another Godzilla movie with Millie Bobby Brown, I'll be happy.
What's wrong? You don't like 11?
Hey. Listen, I strongly believe that Jay is not like Drake.
Whoa.
You guys didn't hear about that? That was a part of
Yes, I'm aware. I'm aware. I just wasn't prepared for you going A minor.
Yeah.
They're not like us.
No,
I mean, they're not like us.
My main point is I just don't think that she fits a Godzilla movie.
I think the children, I think the younger people having the relationships with the Titans that they do, to me, is trying to ground the audience and capture the younger audience to relate to the material, and I just think it's not working well.
Well, I think because they're trying to capitalize, like I said earlier, on the concept that there was the young girl, the young twins, who had a connection with the creatures. All right.
I could see that. I
get
that.
They're trying to capitalize on that concept of the original films, and they're not portraying it very well. Like I said, what they did with the twins with Mothra in the beginning, they didn't do that well. So they tried to double down on that later on when they had the young girl in New Empire have a connection with Mothra. You know what I mean? And her people, because that's what it was. Mothra was held as a goddess within that tribe. That's very accurate. And the 2 young ladies, the 2 twins, descended from that tribe, and they had that. Thus, they had that power and connection with Mothra. And that's what they did with the young girl. I will say that I do love the inclusivity of these films. I will say that I am annoyed slightly with it because I wasn't sure that New Empire was going to be a good film, so I decided to watch it by other means.
Mm-hmm.
And the version I watched, the first version I attempted to watch was Spanish dubbed.
Oh my!
But they also Spanish dubbed the sign language.
Oh my God!
And the problem with that is, I'm also in the process of learning Spanish.
Oh,
so
God,
I'm sitting
no.
there and I'm watching. Right, it gets to the sign language part, and now I'm reading the subtitles for the sign language part, and I'm like, wait, whoa! I'm fucking reading Spanish. What's going on here? Hold on. I'm like, whoa, hold on. First off, I'm proud of myself because I read these last 2 scenes in Spanish and understood it. So I'm proud of my learning. But there ain't no goddamn way I'm gonna be able to read this whole damn movie in Spanish. I can't do this right now. I can't do this. Yeah.
There's no way.
Yeah, so I'm like, it's kind of hard because now they're dubbing the sign language in Spanish. And it's like, I'm like, okay, yeah. But no, I like the fact that they're including, like sign language, and that's really awesome to me. I really like that. I feel like sign language is a language that everyone should know. Everyone should know. Because, shit, we watched A Quiet Place. You can't talk. What if some shit like that happens, or is a situation where you can't talk to the person across from you?
Well, I mean, that Resident Evil with the liquor, fucking The Last of Us. Yeah.
With the clickers. Yeah. You know what I mean? But no, yeah, there may come a time where you cannot talk to the other person and you need to communicate. You know what I mean? And even then, it's a universal language. So if someone is speaking a different language than you, you can sign and you both will be able to communicate with each other.
It's very true.
Yes. So that's my thoughts. I feel like they're doing very good. Toho is they're giving them their graces with their creative rights. They're doing good things. I feel like they're fizzling out a little bit. They need something big for this next film. Give it time, go and so forth. And I agree with you, Jay. I cannot think of a world without Godzilla because, again, I just watched an amazing fucking new anime that just came out called Kaiju number 8.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I highly recommend that anime to anyone. Kaiju number 8 is really fucking awesome. There's only 1 season out, but they're about to drop season 2 this year. So, Kaiju number 8, highly fucking suggest you watch it. It's really good. But yeah, Godzilla has really, really seriously redefined the entirety of the kaiju and daikaiju world. And
yeah, the whole verse.
Especially when it comes to anime as well. Majorly when it comes to anime. Because now we got one of the biggest mecha mech suit animes in the world, Gundam. And then now we have a lot of these mechs. It wouldn't be without Godzilla. But quick before we go, because we're going to end after this, there's one thing I was trying to say earlier before you pop back in Triage, that they're in the movie industry, when there is a film that they want to release, but they're not sure if it's going to hit, they create what's called
you're talking about like the pilot.
Yeah, in a way, in a way, they'll create a movie that's kind of like a prototype that encompasses all the concepts and the CGI and the ideas that they want for this new movie, and they put it out to see if the movie that they want to make is going to hit. So before the Power Ranger movie came out, the last one that came out, there was a film that came out right before it that had the same aspects of it. That was a recreation of an old, of not even old, of Max Steel, right? The film itself didn't go over too well, right? But it had the same concept, same CGI, same everything as the Power Rangers movie. That was a pilot, or at least a trial, to see if the Power Rangers movie, if they could pull off those effects, right?
Interesting.
There was a film like that was a precursor to 2014's Godzilla movie. It was Pacific Rim.
Yeah, it makes sense. That makes sense.
Yep. Pacific Rim was the trial run to see, which literally came out a year before Godzilla. To test the waters to see if people were really still fucking with kaiju and daikaiju.
That makes sense.
And they played around to see if people really was fucking with like live action mechs. And that movie did absolutely amazing. It got a 72 in Rotten Tomatoes. IMDb with a 6.9 out of 10. It's not crazy for IMDb, but IMDb is very conservative with their ratings.
Very conservative.
And Rotten Tomatoes, yeah, Rotten Tomatoes. We all know about Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah. But overall, like, you know, it got a higher, its critic rating was absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. And you guys know who made that movie?
It was Spielberg, wasn't it?
Nope, Warner Brothers.
Oh.
Yep, it was Warner Brothers. It was directed by Guillermo del Toro, and it was the production company was Warner Brothers. So it was a film that Warner Brothers.
That was definitely his movie.
Mm-hmm.
The look, the feel. Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, like it was a precursor to see if people really, if one, they can do a movie with creatures of that scale, of that size, because those kaiju were massive. They were huge. And then we see those same effects, the same angles, the same all that a year later in Godzilla.
Yeah, that's funny.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I just wanted to fact check myself real quick on something as well. Let's see, 2017 that came out, and then yep, I just confirmed it. So 2016, the film Max Steel came out. They released the film Max Steel, and that was a Universal film. And then 2017, we get the Power Rangers movie, which was done by Lionsgate.
Yes.
But Lionsgate and Universal, they do a lot of work together. So literally a year apart, these films come out. So it proves my point. A lot of times there are pilot movies that drop before a big movie.
I never really noticed that. That's funny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But with that being said, I'm going to say one thing that's really off topic, off brand, and we're going to call it there. So, we all know that in the Power Rangers movie, Billy, the Blue Ranger, has autism, right? We know this, right? We all know this?
No.
Well, they made the character Billy be on the spectrum, have a form of autism. You guys know what the color is for autism awareness?
Is it blue?
It's blue.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yep. And so I was like, oh, wow. Okay. I mean, so I thought that was pretty cool. Just a cool little tidbit that I had realized. I said like a few weeks ago when I was talking to Prince Deso. We were like, oh, interesting. Okay. But no, yeah. With that being said, this has been a long ass episode. This has been the Super Breakdown. I am Power Maximus. We are here with everyone's favorite demigod, Lord's Triage, and the Darth Legacy himself, Jason M40. We will be back next week. And I forgot to tell you, this is the episode is kicking off our Monster March. So all throughout March, every episode, we will be talking about another type of monster. And we're not talking about like vampires, Frankenstein. I mean, we could talk about Frankenstein. Could we?
Actual monsters.
Yeah, we're talking about actual monsters. You know, we will have an episode on The Thing. We will have an episode on. Damn, we went over a lot because we got another 4 episodes for you. So y'all can definitely look forward to. And when I'm talking about The Thing, I'm talking about John Carpenter's The Thing. So we will be going over movie Monster March. That's what this is, movie Monster March. So stay tuned. This is going to be a fun thing. We get to watch a bunch of like old school monster movies, and we get to talk to you guys about them. So stay tuned. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be fun. And again, as always, remember, fuck prep time.
Fuck prep time.
Fuck prep time.
Yeah. Ha ha.